TT family, what is the deal, man? What's the deal? It's your dog, Willie Jack, and we are back, baby. But we are back with more boxing action, boxing fans. We got some things to talk about. We definitely got some things to talk about. The boxing guys have been good to us. All right, the boxing guys have been good to us. We got plenty to talk about. Now, you probably seen the title. So let's go ahead. We're gonna jump right into it. We're gonna address the elephant in the room. You know what I'm saying? Was it a robbery or was it the right call? How do you feel? Where do you land? Of course, we're talking about last night's exciting at times and controversial at others. But the fight between boxing superstar Tank Davis and 130-pound champion moving up a weight class to challenge, to fill in the challenge for Tank's 35 title, and Lamont Roach Jr. Now, I will not lie about it at all. I was not excited to see this fight, man. I was not excited about the matchup when it was announced. And that's just me not being, you know what I'm saying, just being honest with you. That's just me not being up on Lamont Roach like that. I mean, I'm familiar with his name for sure. Honestly, I know he lost to Jamel Herring. Same Jamel Herring who got washed by Shakur Stevenson. You know what I mean? But, you know, so I didn't give him the respect that he was probably due. But the thing about respect, if it isn't given, it can be earned. And he earned it last night, man. So shout out to Lamont Roach. And we're going to definitely talk about it. For sure. Hold on. I see you. Okay, my chat. Okay, I see a couple y'all in the building already. Who's it? Hey, man, shout out to my dog, man. Shout out to my dog, man, Keandre, man. Hey, he said it's been too long and we back, man. Hey, yeah, the NFL season is a haul, man. You know what I mean? Once that season's in, it had to take a little break and recharge, man. And honestly, it worked out perfect because we had some fights teed up last night, of course, Tank and Roach, but the weekend before that, Bivol versus Beterbiev, that rematch, fantastic fight in my opinion. Shakur Stevenson looked good. Keyshawn Davis had a recent fight, looked good, got some championship gold. Antuanne Russell, dominant last night. He's a champion now as well. So, man, hey, we got some fights to talk about now. We got some things to talk about. Shout out to my dog. There we go. Hey, Mom's in the building. Good morning. Happy Sunday to the family. Hey, yeah. Hey, we back. And we still trying to have a blessed show as always. Appreciate you, lady. Appreciate you. Oh, yeah. Keandre, hey, you know what we came to do? My dog Keandre said, you know what time it is. We definitely going to talk about it, man. We're going to give it another minute or so, man. Just let everybody get in here and get real comfortable. Hey, man, look, this is what I'm talking about. You see this? Come on, man. Oh, we back, man. Hey, we back already in the groove. My dog Keandre, they reminded us to get the comments on the board. We didn't get halfway through the show or hour in. You know what I'm saying? See how smooth the show run when the captain is on the ship. You feel me? Shout out to my dog, man. Oh, Keandre said Tank won, but the fake knee was wild. Oh, we going to talk about it, man. Yeah, we definitely going to talk about it. Who else in the building? Sis in the building for sure. Happy Sunday to the folks. Yes, ma'am. Dog, hey, man. And you know what? Y'all probably heard me say this a time or two. Keyshawn Davis is my favorite of that young kind of crop of like up and coming guys. So I'm definitely a fan, and man, I'm happy to see he's, you know what I'm saying, taking all the steps we need for him to get these big name fights that I want to see him in for sure. So great performance. We're gonna get into all of that though. We're gonna get into all of it. Don't y'all worry about it. Hold on 1 second here. Let me make sure I got everything teed up. Who else in the building this morning? Jose Pereira, what's going on, man? Good morning. You a new name, man. I don't think I recognize your name, man. Good morning. What's up? He said, quick question. What are the rules on the corner helping out in the middle of a round? After a count, not a count, can the corner get DQ or are they allowed to get involved in the middle of the round? Hey, that's a damn good question. Jose Pereira. Somebody in the chat say what's up to Jose. You one of the members now, bro. Jose Pereira said he got in here. He ain't had no time to play around. He's got an intelligent boxing question for the community. Now, officially, the corner cannot offer any style of assistance actively during the round. That's grounds for disqualification. So, like, if the corner actively interferes or offers assistance to their fighter, to either fighter during a round, that is grounds for disqualification for sure. And so now I'm trying to think, man. I don't know if I've seen like that happen. I know we've had some corners like fight with the other corner or attack a fighter, and then of course that's like could be a disqualification. I don't even know if that's happened during an active fight though. I'm trying to think. There's been a couple like corner fights break out, like at the end of fights. But yeah, during the actual live action of a fight, yeah, the corner cannot interfere, like without some style of official break from the referee. And then even when there's an official break from the referee, the corner still can't assist. That's why you have to go to a neutral corner, even if there's an official break, because the corner is not allowed to offer any style of assistance like during an active round. The only exception for that being no, because even if they have you getting, even if you're getting looked at for possible injury or stoppage, that's the unaffiliated like ringside doctor, and he comes up and takes a look at you at the neutral corner. So yeah, so no, very good question. And by the letter of the law, that should have been grounds for disqualification for sure. My dog County said Keyshawn or Zabop as the best young fighter. Who's Zabop? To make sure I know, you know what I'm saying? Make sure I know what we're talking about. Who's Zabop? Who's Zabop? I'm trying to think, who would you be talking about? Who's Zabop? Let me know what you're talking about, Keandre, so I make sure I'm on the right time. Hey, yeah, hey, what's going on, man? Yeah, we definitely gonna get into all that. We definitely gonna get into all that. Hey, there we go. Hey, man, Jose, you one of the members now, big dog? Credit to Punch. I'm assuming you meant credit to Punch. Okay, so if we talking about the knee itself, like it was. I'm assuming he's talking about credit to the Punch as far as like the knee that Tank took, and so we're gonna get into it. We're gonna get into it all in depth, but like I guess quickly, like when I saw it, it wasn't like a hard flush shot that like obviously landed strong or caused some type of balance loss or something like that. Like it looked like it was the end of a punch like snapped, and I thought maybe the thumb or something, like I thought maybe he got poked in the eye or just got, you know what I mean, like his eye poked. I thought it was something like that, like an eye poke more or less, and then he just responded poorly. I mean, and he's 30 years old. Like it feels like Tank was a kid for Tank was like the young guy, the youngest exciting fighter for like a decade. But he's 30. He's 30. He's a numerous time champion. He's a multi-divisional champion. He should know better. He does know better. You know what I mean? But in the moment when it happened, he did what he did. And honestly, it should have been a knockdown. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Even if it's not a punch, though, here's the thing about it, Jose. It doesn't have to be a punch landed for it to count as a knockdown. Like if you voluntarily or otherwise, mistakenly on accident, if your gloves or knee touch the canvas, touch the floor of the ring, it's a knockdown. Automatically, unequivocally. The only excuse, or not even excuse, the only time it's not deemed a knockdown is when we see it all the time. When the referee steps in, he waves it off, and he tells everybody, hey, this was a slip, or this was a shove, or a push, or something of that nature. But the referee differentiates like, hey, gloves hit the mat, a knee hit the mat, a body part hit the mat other than the soles of your feet, but it's not a knockdown because of X. And then we get an explanation. A push, a shove, a slip, right? So barring that, there is no exception to this rule. And there's historical precedent for this rule. And so we're going to talk about that as well. Hey, that's the Diane Corleone voice. Hey, yeah, man. Hey, Jose, one of the members now, man. You one of the members now. Hey, come on, man. I appreciate you, big dog. Come on, man. That's what we do around here, man. We got real boxing fans in the building, man. You right at home. Man. Oh, Zaquan Moses. And you know what? Well, I don't think he's fought enough. I did see him. I saw him fight not on this most recent card, not on the Riyadh card, but I want to say he fought on Shakur's card fight before last, if I'm not mistaken. So I think he's still a little young. He's still a prospect. or I don't even know I don't know. He's a young prospect. I want to say has he had 3 fights? I want to say, I don't think he's had 5 fights. So like, I think he's behind guys like Carmel Moten. He's behind guys like Abdullah Mason. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's behind he's behind some of those guys that, while they're also young, but I think they still are further along as far as in their development than Zaquan Moses. But I have seen him fight. I want to say it was on the card before last, or no, maybe it wasn't even that long ago. Maybe it wasn't on a Shakur card. I did see him fight because when I saw or heard that he was Shakur's cousin, I was okay, let me check it out. So I did watch him fight. So I have seen him fight, but yeah, no, I think he's still like behind even those guys. If I'm not mistaken. Hey, y'all heard my dog say, hey man, some of y'all riding for free now. All right, ain't no such thing as a free ride. Ain't no free meals. Tap in, do your part, man. Do your part for your dog, man. Hit the like button. Drop something in the chat. Say what's up to your dog. You feel me? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. You heard my dog Keyshawn said, and we're gonna get it going, man. And so I guess you know what? Matter of fact, well, now that we're here, I feel like everybody's warmed up. The juices should be flowing. So now let's talk about it. Now my dog Keandre, man, he dropped something in the chat earlier. I think he said he had Tank still winning the fight. Now, of course, as far as the official card goes, official card had a majority drop. 115 to 113 for Davis, and then 2 draw cards at 114 apiece. So now, as far as the decision, I wasn't upset at the draw. And I'll tell you why. I scored it a draw myself. So, like, I score them live. I score them round by round. You know what I mean? Now, I normally do this on Twitter. So, you know what I'm saying? If you're on Twitter, if you're on X, tap in, give your dog a follow. But I score the rounds live on my Twitter. And then I'll do like a little quick blurb about what I think I saw in the round or whatever the case. So, now here's the thing about it. When I like watching the fight with my eyes, honestly, I thought that Lamont Roach won the fight. I thought Lamont Roach did enough to win that fight just visually. But I was like, even like on Twitter, on X or whatever, you know what I'm saying? I'm doing my thing and I'm talking to folks. And I'm like, man, looking at it, I think Roach got it. But I was like, let me add up my card and see how it actually shakes out. And when I added up my card, I actually had it a draw. And so now, this being ruled a draw, I'm okay with that because I ruled it a draw myself. But I feel like watching the fight, honestly, I felt like Roach did enough to win this fight, man. I really did. Now, my dog Keandre, man, I know you say you had Tank still winning the fight. Did you score it? Like, did you break down? Did you score it like 5 rounds to 7 or 8 to 4? Like, what do you think? My dog Miles in the building, man. Said he's new to the science of it all, but he here for the entertainment. Hey, that's enough, man. That's you right on time, bro. Yeah, that's enough. If nothing else, you just want to see 2 people throw hands. That's enough. That's more than enough. But no, hey, y'all talk to me, man. So I'd have told y'all, like, so how I had it a draw myself, but I think a draw is fine. Or if it had been 115, 113 for Roach, I also think that would have been fine. If Roach would have won this fight, I would have had no qualms. I thought he won just watching it. My first reaction once it ended was like, Roach did upset Tank. Roach won this fight. But then I went and added my card up. I had it a draw. So either of those 2 outcomes, I think were fair or were fine for me. Now, where do y'all stand? You know what I'm saying? First off, did you watch the fight? If you watched the fight, what did you think? And then how'd you have it broke out? So I could tell y'all for myself, honestly, the first half of this fight, and I hate saying fights are boring. I don't want to say boring because, like, I appreciate a technical fight. You know what I'm saying? Like, Beterbiev versus Bivol, the first fight, people thought that was a boring fight. Not me. That was high-level chess. You know what I mean? So I appreciate a high-level tactical fight. It's also why I'm a fan of Shakur Stevenson. Because it's not, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can make the majors without hitting home runs. Tank is a home run hitter. You know what I mean? Tank's a home run hitter. But there's guys in the Hall of Fame who don't hit home runs. Shakur just one of those guys. You know what I'm saying? Like, so there's nothing wrong with that. So I appreciate the technical aspect of the fight. I don't think, no, I'm not going to say it wasn't technical. It was, but it was technical to the point of overly cautious at times, especially in the first half of that, the first quarter of that fight, I want to say. Those first three, four rounds were pretty, 3, 4, maybe even 5 rounds were pretty bland, honestly, if I'm being honest. You know what I mean? But then I think once we got into those middle rounds, and especially in the second half of the fight, the action definitely picked up. The chippiness, animosity definitely picked up. And man, it turned into a very entertaining fight for sure. So yeah, we're gonna break all that down. We're gonna break all that down for sure. My dog Keandre say, we know Monster Anyway was the truth from the word go, so I don't think that the word prospect means the same as it did before the age of the internet. We have more data on the young fighters. Okay, well, I'll say this, because Lomachenko also never really had a prospect phase because he was so established once he began fighting professionally. His third fight was a championship fight, so he didn't have a prospect phase. But like when I say he's a prospect, and this goes for anybody, like Kamel Moan, Abdullah Mason, Zaybab, you know what I'm saying? The boy Shakir's cousin Moses, like calling them a prospect isn't meant to be disrespectful, but it does give respect to the grind that guys like Keyshawn and Gary Antuanne Russell and Shakur, they all had to go, Devin Haney, they all had to go through that grind phase as a prospect before you become a qualified contender. Like Zaybab Moses, he's not a qualified contender. He's not ready to get in the ring with any style of true champion. You know what I mean? Because does he fight at 30? I think he fights between 30 and 40. You'll have to remind me. I only seen him fight once. You know what I'm saying? But I think he's only got 3 fights. You know what I'm saying? Like, he doesn't have like the background pedigree like a guy like Lomachenko, to where even in his third fight, we give him a championship fight, even though he's only had 3 professional fights. Now, that's still, depending on how you feel about that still could be some bullshit, being honest. But at least we can understand the argument. A guy like Artur Beterbiev, he's 40 years old. He's only had 22 professional fights. Well, so, you know, so like, I don't think he turned professional in the way that we fight, like in America or whatever the case. You know, he might have already been like 30 years old or 28 years old. And so, you know, so he's not a prospect when he comes in. Zaybob's like 19. You know what I'm saying? He's like a roughly high school or college age kid. I think he's had 3 fights. And I don't think he has like an extensive amateur background. He wasn't an Olympian. Like Keyshawn Davis was a prospect for these last 5 years. Keyshawn Davis went to the Olympics and won a medal. I think he was a silver medalist in the Olympics. He still had to go through the prospect phase. So it's not necessarily a disrespectful term to say that, but it does give respect to the grind and the process that guys have to go through before we can call you a contender. Because we just call him a contender now, then that's disrespectful to Abdullah Mason, who's ahead of him and who's put in more work than him to get to this stage. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I mean by it. Now, Monster, honestly, like I'm and I hate to say this, and shout out to my dog, Brother Red, man. My dog, Joseph Kinney, man, if he gets into this morning. He was trying to put me on Monster like 18 months before I finally said him. And like, I had heard about Monster, but I didn't really pay attention. You know what I'm saying? When the weight classes are that low, and that's me as calling myself a boxing fan. I should respect any and all boxing, regardless of the weight classes. And I have a better appreciation for it now. But I wasn't feeling Monster, man. It was hard. I didn't give the respect that was due to these guys who fight at these classes, 112, 115, 118, 122. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't get them the respect that was due. And so the debate I always used to have with my dog, Brother Red, I'm getting long-winded, my bad. But I used to be like, man, look, let me see him step up and fight Stephen Fulton. I was calling for that Stephen Fulton fight for Monster Anyway for about like 2 years before it happened. Because, okay, Monster looks nice. He's putting these 115-pound kids to sleep in exciting fashion. But I didn't respect it because I wanted to see him in the ring with a guy like Stephen Fulton, who's got a little more size. And, you know, anyway, long story short, when that actually happened, he dominated. It didn't nothing change but the channel. Didn't nothing change but the weather. Monster was still Monster, so I respect it. You know what I mean? But that's where I kind of land on that. Jose said he had a 9-3 for Roach. Ooh, interesting. Man, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I don't know. 9-3 feels a little wide. 9-3 feels a little wide. Like, I definitely could, like, I end up having a 6-6. There's two, matter of fact, I'll tell you the 2 rounds for me. The seventh round I gave the Tank. I thought that was a close round. It could have went either way. The 7th round, I ended up giving it to Tank, so that could have made my card 7-5 for Davis. And the 12th round was also close as well. I ended up giving that to Roach. So those 2 could have been swings for me. And then also, of course, the 9th round. And so the 9th round with the knee, it should have been scored a knockdown, and then there's no question that Lamont Roach wins this fight. If we add that scored knockdown to the rest of these to the official cards and to my own card, Roach wins this fight outright, unanimous decision. But it wasn't scored that way. Now, the other thing about that 9th round is after Tank takes the knee, after he gets his eye wiped out, he comes back and lets his hands go. You know what I mean? Like, he comes back and turns it up. You know what I mean? He comes back and he closes that round, I think, as the aggressor. And so I end up scoring that 9th round for Tank. And that's a round as well that could have been scored possibly for Roach. And then also, if the ref, and shout out to Steve Wilkes, I think is his name, or Steve Wilkins or Willis, Steve Willis, I think, because he's hilarious. He's the guy with the bug eyes that get memed a lot when people get knocked out and he's reffing the fight. So I like him, and I like him as a referee, but he dropped the ball. He definitely dropped the ball. 9-3 feels a little wide, though. 9-3 feels a little wide. If you told me 8-4, and I know it sounds silly because it's only 1 round difference, but the margin for victory and loss in boxing is so short that there's a big difference between 9-3 and 8-4. 9-3 and 7-5, 8-4 and 7. You know what I'm saying? Those are a big difference. 9-3 feels more one-sided than 8-4. Like, it feels too one-sided. It feels too one-sided. But I also agree. I definitely think Roach won that fight, though. Zay Money in the building, man. What's going on? Zay Money, hold on, man. Let me find out who's that. I got a nephew named Zay. Let me find out my nephew got a channel where he's Zay Money. Zay Money, man, welcome to the channel, man. You in the building now, man. You one of the members, man. He said he had an 8-5. Okay, no, you definitely ain't my nephew. He said he was watching it live and had an 8-4. He watched it again and had a 9-3 Roach. Ooh! Baby, I need to rewatch it. I haven't rewatched it yet. So I do generally rewatch the fights. I like to watch it. I score it live myself as well. Hey, man, Zay Money, you might know something, man. Zay Money might know something about boxing, man. That's the same process I got. Like, I watch it live, I score it live in the moment, I score it live, and then, like, I'll wait a day or whatever, and then I go back and rewatch it, and then I'll rescore it as well. So I do that same process. That's interesting. 8-4 live, 9-3 on the rewatch. Man, okay. Man, hey, y'all might be on to something. Zay Money and Jose might be on to something. Like, they both, like, he had a 9-3 as well on his rewatch. Jose had a 9-3 on his first run through. So, and you know what? If I'm being honest, y'all might be right, because also, like, I gave the second round to Tank, and you know what I'm saying? And it's not necessarily that he did anything. I gave that second round to Tank, and I just remember feeling like I wanted to see more from Roach. And so, you know, maybe that's a round that should have went to Tank, that should have went to Roach as well, that I had backwards on Michael. So, no, I definitely can't rate the rewatch it. I can't rate the rewatch it. There were some close rounds, and especially in the first half of the fight, there were more than a few close rounds, and depending on, like, how you shaded those close rounds, maybe it would give a 9-3 for Roach. Like, if you gave those close rounds to Roach, and I think on some of those close rounds, I kind of split them. I end up kind of splitting them. But let's say if those go to Roach, then yeah, maybe my card might have wound up 9-3 as well. You know what I mean? And so it's possible. It's possible. Yeah, I can't wait to rewatch it now. Hey, Zay Money, man, you one of them members, man. I don't know if I seen you in here before either. You one of them members, though, man. Somebody say what's up to Zay Money, man. He in the building. My dog Keandre said he had a 7-5 Tank. Okay, Roach was busy, but Tank had the better big shots. That's interesting, Keandre, because Tank did land some solid shots in this fight. But here's the thing about it. Like, you know what, Keandre? Shout out to my dog Keandre for throwing the ooh. Keandre, you don't even know it. You D-Wade right now running down the field, running down the court. You D-Wade right now running down the court, and I'm Brian. I'm Brian right now. This the poster. I'm Brian right now. Keandre just teed us up. We got a little beam footage. We got a little of that wonderful, beautiful beam footage for the community to review. My dog Keandre said Tank had the better clean shots. We're going to take a look. Y'all sit down, buckle your seatbelts, and get yourself real comfortable. And we're going to take a look at this. We're going to be right back.
Davis just got backed up with a counter right from Roach. Boom.
How y'all feeling? How we feeling? I don't know, man. Hey, I don't know. Keandre. I don't know. I won't lie. Watching the fight, and I remember watching that too. And I was like, I almost jumped off my couch. I was like, oh no, he felt that. That stumble was legit. He wasn't off balance and got caught. They traded shots. Tank's shot got there first. Roach ate it, returned fire, and he had the bigger gun. He ate that and then came back and gave worse than he got. Tank, that's legit. He wasn't off balance. Their feet weren't tangled up. He took it. Okay, that's cool. Pow. Now take this one. You know what I mean? So, hey, man, I don't know. And here's the thing about it, though, Keandre. Like, when I was watching these fights, I got some of my notes. I really felt that what Roach was able to do in this fight, for one, he wasn't intimidated at all. Now, he's got a benefit that a lot of these other guys don't have, in that he's familiar with Tank. They grew up in the same area. They've sparred. They've fought as, amateurs coming up. So he's just as experienced, and he's not intimidated. That's the biggest thing, the biggest difference in the performance we saw from Roach last night versus what we've seen from Tank over, let's say, these last 3-4 years. Tank has fought guys that are either way inexperienced or they're intimidated. I'm talking about Rolly Romero. I'm talking about Pitbull Cruz at the time. I'm talking about Ryan Garcia. You know what I mean? Inexperienced. And Frank Martin. Let's not forget Frank Martin. Inexperienced and or intimidated. Roach was neither. You know what I mean? And so the thing that I give Roach the most credit for all night, for one, he stood toe-to-toe all night. And for, I'd say, 80% of the fight, he was the front foot fighter. For the bulk of that fight. There were moments in which Tank got on his front foot and maybe tried to set the pace. But the thing about it is, every time Tank would let his hands go, Lamont Roach was able to eat those shots. He was able to take those shots and return fire with fire. And then as we got into the second half of the fight, especially for myself, I think Lamont won a lot of those exchanges, especially on the inside. So Tank gets a lot of credit for being an aggressive knockout fighter, and especially by comparison to Shakur Stevenson. But what we don't, like, Tank's not a go-get-you fighter. Like, that's a misconception. Because he knocks guys out, we assume he's a go-get-you fighter. He's not. Tank's a counterpuncher. And so what Lamont Roach did from the outset, he was very measured in his attacks. He was just as patient, or even more patient, than Tank. He didn't willy-nilly let his hands or let his punches just go and just throw volume punches at Tank like we saw Rolly Romero do, like we saw Tank Davis do, like we saw Ryan Garcia do. Because then you open yourself up for that big shot counter that Tank is known for hitting. Same thing with Leo Santa Cruz in the corner, throwing 3 right hands back to back. Well, guess what happened on the third one? He put your ass to bed. You know what I'm saying? So he didn't give Tank that opening. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was just as measured in his approach as Tank was. And then in the moments where Tank did let his hands go, because Tank landed some solid shots in this fight. Tank's power did not affect Lamont Roach. And Lamont Roach, we can't tell. Lamont Roach is the smaller guy. Lamont Roach is the guy who came up a class to fight Tank. He was the bigger fighter. Now, we know Tank is a naturally smaller man just in general, but Lamont at 29 has been fighting at 130 for the bulk of his career, he had never fought above 130. It's his first time being 135. He was clearly visibly bigger than Tank was, and he had no problem at all handling Tank's power. Tank, he took shots from Tank that put guys down. He took those shots. Rolly Romero, Frank Martin, Ryan Garcia. Now, Pitbull Cruz, his name being what it is, he is probably the one guy, in the last 5 years of fights, worth of fights now, that didn't go down. But let's not forget, Tank hurt his hand in that fight, so he had to kind of fight him on the back foot with one hand. And so he's an exception. You know what I mean? But yeah, nah. I ain't gonna lie, man. We gonna bring that back. I'm gonna bring that back again. But the only reason I did that though, because Keandre, you just threw me. It was a perfect ooh, Keandre. You know what I'm saying? It was just a perfect ooh. Hey, Jose, man. I wouldn't expect nothing less, man. We here for real talk, man. Real ball talk, man. That's what we want. We won't always agree, but we'll have fun debating it for sure. Said Roach landed Ray harder shot. Tank was wobbled. Hey, now I don't know if I'll say wobbled many times, but Roach landed some solid shots. Now that shot was in the 8th round, the one that I just showed. That's the round before that 9th round knee, and we're gonna get into that as well. But now that shot was in the 8th. That was probably, I was gonna say, was that the hardest shot of the night? But see, Tank did land some solid shots. Honestly, Tank landed some solid shots as well. So that was a good exchange. Roach got the better deal, but consistency was the key for him. Roach walked through fire to get the Tank more times than he did. All that for a jab flurry. That's not a bad observation, bro. That's not a bad observation, because I felt the same way, but I think I'm crediting Roach for that more than you are, because he definitely took some to give some. He definitely did, and so that's what was so great about Roach's performance, understanding that technically speaking, officially, he's the smaller fighter. He's the smaller guy, technically, coming up to the larger weight class to face a champion with like a 98% KO percentage, right? A champion who's notorious for his power, that travels multiple weight classes, right? And so Tank, he's not Roberto Duran. Let me say that first. But Tank is probably, when I try to think about a guy historically that has started from such a small weight class and then was able to move up and have his power carry as far as it does from such a low weight class, it makes me think about Roberto Duran. Roberto Duran was a 135-pound champion when he went up 2 weight classes, fought Sugar Ray Leonard, and beat him. And then he continued, ended up going up to middleweight, and I don't know if y'all go back and watch these old fights like your dog, but I'm a junkie. So go back and watch that Roberto Duran versus Marvin Hagler fight. Marvin Hagler, one of the greatest middleweights of all time. Now we're going to middleweight from 35 from lightweight. Duran was winning that fight. I think Duran was winning that fight. This is back when the fights were 15 rounds. If that fight's 12 rounds, I think Roberto Duran beats Marvin Hagler. But Hagler took over in those championship rounds and closed it out, and he ended up beating Duran. But the fact that Duran's power was able to travel that far, like Tank has that style of power. Now, he hasn't went that far. He hasn't went up to 60. He went to 47 once, didn't like it, and brought his ass back down. But for a guy at that weight class to have that type of power, Tank is one of those guys. Monster Inoue appears to be one of those guys. Starting from like 112 and then, man, putting them paws on Stephen Fulton at 122. You know what I mean? And so guys like that are rare. So Tank has power. We saw Roach absorb all of Tank's power because he did get hit with clean shots that stagger, knock other guys back or knock other guys down. Roach handled those shots and gave just as good or better in the returns. And so, yeah, man, this is a very impressive fight for Lamont Roach. And here's another thing as well. In watching this fight, Lamont Roach doing what he did in this fight against Tank, you know what it tells us? He's ready for anybody at 135. Because you're not going to tell me that you arguably and probably technically should have and earned and deserved perhaps that victory against Tank Davis, right? The 135-pound boogeyman. So if you do that performance he put on against Tank, which should have been a victory, arguably should have been a victory. Who can't Lamont Roach get in the ring with at 35? Who can't he get in the ring with? So yeah, no, this is a great performance for sure. Okay, we got a couple pleasantries. You know what? Hey, Jose, that's a good observation as well. Tank threw a couple low blows, man. Tank threw a few low blows in this fight, and he ended up getting a hard warning. I want to say, I don't know which, maybe that was the 7th round. I want to say in the second half of the fight, he got a hard or a stern warning for low blows from referee Steve Willis for sure. Like, now, I don't necessarily think they were, like, intentional, because, like, when we call them dirty shots, dirty means, like, it feels like intentional. Like Galata. Like, what was it? Was it Andre Galata? What was it? I can't remember his first name. Not Antonio. Whoever. But Galata throwing intentional low blows against, like, Riddick Bowe. So I don't think they were dirty in that fashion, like, where he's intentionally trying to go low, but he definitely had more than a couple blows, solid blows, laying low for sure, and he did get a hard warning. And then also, Lamont, they showed a replay in which Lamont got a hard warning for throwing a shot during the clinch when the ref was trying to break him, and then they showed a replay, and Tank threw his shoulder into his chin, and that's what made Lamont respond and throw a punch at him during the break, in which he got a warning from the ref. And I think that was like round 5, if I remember, because that was the first round. I was okay, finally, like, the animosity's building. Like, they're getting chippy, so maybe now we'll start to see their hands fly. Because the first 4 rounds, there may have been 20 thrown punches total for those first 4 or 5 rounds. You know what I mean? So, no, that's a good observation, though. That's definitely a good observation. Oh, now, and we keep talking about, keep dancing around, so, and you know what? Sorry, gang. I thought the video of Tank taking a knee, I thought I had that ready. It doesn't look like it loaded. Damn. I was going to pull a video of Tank taking that knee so we can actually break it down. Damn. But I guess it didn't load up for me. I'm finding out on the fly. You know what I'm saying? I'm finding out on the fly. We don't have that video. Damn. Because I was going to go into it now. What I'm going to do, let me see if I can pull up. I'm going to pull up this picture. I'm going to pull up the picture so we can talk about it. So now we got to talk about this knee. By the letter of the law, that knee is a knockdown. That knee is a knockdown. Period. There is no excuse. Something in your eye, that doesn't matter. That knee is a knockdown. And matter of fact, I'm going to post it real quick. I'm going to post this picture real quick just so we can take a look. It's a full-fledged knee. There is no question. Here it is. Okay, I lied to you because it's not showing the picture like I wanted it to. Where is it at? Oh no, here we go. All right. You know what? Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. But we're going to talk about it anyway. So the knee. There are examples. Like, this is why that knee and that not called knockdown is so egregious because it ended up being the difference in this fight. Now, there is historical precedent for it. And it's not one of those things where, like, the star gets star treatment. Mayweather, this happened to Mayweather. And this is Pretty Boy. Pretty Boy Mayweather's fighting Hernandez. I want to say this is early 2000s Mayweather, like 2001. Mayweather hurt his hand in this fight, and he stepped away and took a knee. Mayweather's got, historically, it's known he's had trouble with his hands, bad hands. And so he hurts his hand in this fight against Hernandez. He backs up, he grimaces, he takes a knee. No punch thrown or landed from the other fighter, nothing. He even suffers an injury. It does not matter. Mayweather hurts his hand, steps back, and takes a knee. He's counted. It's a knockdown. Now, Mayweather ended up still winning that fight, but it goes to show that there is no valid excuse for taking a knee or for letting your glove touch the ground without the ref excusing it as some style of slip or push down or something to that effect. You take a knee, it's a knockdown. It happened to Pretty Boy Floyd Mayweather. So nobody is safe. And I'm sure it's happened to others as well, but this is a great example. Now, the other thing. Now, here's also what I didn't like, man. At the end of the fight, when Tank was expecting sympathy for his hair grease getting in his eye, he's like, man, nah, man. Y'all see I just got my braids done. Y'all see I just got my hair done. Man, the grease, it's a different grease they use. The grease ran into my eyes, man. I couldn't see. Bro, how soft is that? And then, of course, he's getting booed. And shout out to the Barclays Center, man. Shout out to New York. Shout out to Brooklyn. Shout out to the Barclays Center for not excusing that bullshit. That's soft. That's soft. That's soft with a capital F. It's got 3 capital Fs and then a capital T with 2 apostrophes after that. Soft. Soft. Lie and say you got poked in the eye and panicked. Man, I got poked in the eye. I forgot where I was at. I was tripping. I took a knee. Say that. Say anything, but man, y'all know I just got my hair done. Man, you know, it was different moisturizers they use for these braids. Y'all see these new braids, don't y'all? I'm not lying. Look at my new braids. Like, bruh, what kind of whole activity is that, Tank? What are you doing? But that doesn't matter. You know why? It didn't save the greatest. Muhammad Ali was blinded mid-round in his first fight against Sonny Liston. Now, sources say, you know what I'm saying, that in Liston's corner, that they put some ointment or some little material on his gloves. And so during this, I want to say it's like, this is the round before he stops Liston, I want to say, in that first fight. But yeah, Ali gets blinded. Go back and watch it. Yeah, I'm a boxing junkie. I done went back and watched all these old fights, man. Go back and watch it. You know what Muhammad Ali has to do in this fight against Sonny Liston? Sonny Liston was the Mike Tyson of his day. Scared boys to death when he looked at him. You know what I mean? This is who Sonny Liston is. The biggest, baddest, most intimidating fighter of all. He's one of the most intimidating fighters of all time. Sonny Liston. Blinds Ali. Ali's in the ring with a killer and can't see. You know what he has to do? Because he can't take a knee unless he wants to give up a knockdown. He has to dance and stay away. He gets to the corner. Angelo Dundee in the game. They grab a wet towel. They rinse his eyes. They wipe his face out. It's all good. Next round, Ali comes out and stops Liston. So that's not a good excuse. That's not a good enough excuse. There's no excuse, Tank Davis, for doing what you did. It was soft on multiple levels. And here's the thing about it. And you know what? The Ryan Garcia fight. Ryan Garcia takes a body shot. He doesn't go down instantly from the body shot. He takes a body shot. He grimaces. Tank takes another step forward. And then Ryan takes that knee. Now, what if when Ryan took his knee and then just got up and ran to the corner and was like, nah, it was actually something in my eye. And the ref said, oh, okay, that's cool. No knockdown. Hell no. You cannot take a knee mid-round and it not be scored a knockdown, period. So Steve Willis, referee, and I hate to call you out because I do enjoy him as a referee, you got some explaining to do. You got some explaining to do, man. That's ridiculous. So I don't know, man. There is no reason, there is no excuse. There's nothing that makes it doable or okay. You know what I mean? My dog Matt said he admitted to it being a knee in the press conference. Okay, well, good. Because, like, I didn't watch the press conference. Like, I watched the in-ring interview. And then, honestly, I didn't even get to see my Lamont Roach's in-ring interview. My dog Reggie called me, man. So we was talking about the fight. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't even watch the post-fight conference. And I didn't even get to hear all of Lamont Roach's in-ring interview. But I heard Tank's in-ring interview when he was talking about his hairstylist using the wrong hair grease. And I was sick to my stomach because, boy, Tank, you better than that. Tank, you better than that, bro. That shit weak. It is what it is, man. Ain't no way around it. But I'm glad he did. Well, here's the thing about it. I'm glad he admitted it, but it wasn't nothing to admit. We seen it. We seen it in 4K. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no way he could have said he didn't. But like I said, I'd have rather said, look, man, I got poked in the eye. I was tripping. Forgot where I was at. I took a knee. But, man, to go into how your hairstylist used a new hair grease and this one got into your eye. Come on, man. That's weak. as weak. Now, here's the thing as well. How do we feel about Tank going forward? Like, a lot of y'all, we've talked in here now. A lot of us have talked about speculative matchups between Tank and Shakur, Tank and Haney, Tank and T.O., Tank and whoever. I'm glad I've got film out there. I've called for Tank versus Keyshawn Davis before this moment. You know what I mean? I want to see that. Like, do we still feel Tank is invincible or what? Because there's a lot of y'all, and not just y'all, it's a lot of everyone that feels just Tank is just otherworldly, that nobody has a chance. You know, he's human. If we didn't know or we forgot, Lamont Roach reminded everybody. Nah, he bleeds just like we do. Tank Davis bleeds just like we do. And that's evident. And so now, oh man, I wish my dog Chop was in here. Because I've been telling Chop, I wish Black was in here. Because Black is also one of these guys, man. Tank can do no wrong. I've been saying, man, hey, Shakur beats Tank, man. I think he does. I don't think he stops him. I think he wins. I'm at to pull my footages. I've been saying this for a while. I think Tank probably beats. I think Shakur beats Tank 8-4, maybe even 9-3. I do think so. And this helps validate it. And honestly, I won't lie, stylistically, I think Keyshawn Davis beats Tank. Because I think Keyshawn Davis is going to be able to do a lot of the things that Lamont Roach did, but I think Keyshawn has more power. He's naturally 135. So he's naturally 135. He's naturally even bigger than both those guys. And he's still got that same come forward inside fighting dog, inside fighting counter prowess. I think Keyshawn Davis beats Tank as well. I won't lie to y'all, man. I won't lie. I want to know how y'all feel. Kiara said we need that rematch, man. Tank got some stuff to prove. And you know what? I'm glad you brought that up. I meant to say that as well. I appreciate Tank. Tank said something about the rematch right there in the ring. He's like, yeah, man, we got to run it back because he know. Tank came off to me like a fighter that knows. I'm not going to say he knows he lost, but I think this may have been the first fight for Tank in which he was coming to grips with the possibility that he might have lost this fight. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think he necessarily feels he got washed or that he got a gift, but I think it was on Tank's mind that, man, I don't know about this one. I don't know if I got this one, man. I don't know. Like, that's the vibe I got. And so then for Tank to go ahead and say, no, man, we got to run it back. It was a good fight. Tank is always gracious for the most part. He's generally pretty gracious as a winner. He gives the other fighters credit and respect. He does do that, man. I really appreciate it from him. But yeah, when he was adamant, like, nah, we got to run this back. And then for Lamont Roach as well, of course, he wants to run it back. You know what I mean? So I hope they do. Now, also, what this means for Tank going forward, I think Tank has lost a little leverage when it comes to Riyadh season, Turkey Al-Sheikh, and even Shakur Stevenson. Because I think if this is the style of performance, especially the first 6-5, let's say the first 5 for sure, but the first 5-6 rounds of this fight, it was pretty boring stuff. Tank, I think I saw a CompuBox stat. Tank only averaged 23 punches a round in this fight. That is extremely inactive. Like, Tank is already a low activity fighter because he's very selective. He wants to draw you in. He wants to land those powerful, accurate counters, and he's got the power that when he lands his counter on the button, you go down. You know what I mean? He's got that nuclear option. He never got that in this fight. And Lamont Roach earned his respect. So let's say Tank Davis averages 35 punches a round. That's still low. 35 punches around is still low output, especially at those lower weight classes. So that's the style of output. Heavyweights throw 30 punches around. That's a mild heavyweight pace. 30 punches around, 30, 35 punches around. You know what I mean? Because they throwing real lumber out there. You know what I mean? These are 250 plus pound guys a lot of the times. And so you get slower output. The younger guys, you know what I mean? These guys It's not uncommon for these guys to average twice that. 60 punches around, 70, 80. It's not uncommon. Gary Antuanne Russell threw almost 1,000 punches last night in his victory against Rayo Valenzuela. He threw 950-something punches at 140 pounds. So it's atypical for such a smaller weight fighter to be so inactive. And that's what Tank is. That's one of the anomalies about Tank. And it's also, proof of his power, right? He only threw 23. So a guy who only throws maybe 30, 35, he didn't even let his hands go to his own standard because Lamont Roach demanded his respect. Lamont Roach showed, you can't hurt me. I'm going to push you back. Lamont Roach was the front foot fighter for the majority of this fight. And in those exchanges, he fought fire with fire. And then in my opinion, more times than not, I feel like he got the better of those exchanges. I really do. And if we just look visually by who appeared to be the stronger, more powerful puncher, it looked to be Lamont Roach. Because, matter of fact, this might be a good excuse to play the clip again, because we saw Lamont Roach visibly stagger and legitimately stagger Tank Davis. We didn't see that the other way around, and Tank landed some very solid shots. Hey, good point, Keandre. I was going to talk about this as well. Good point. He said Tank's been talking about retirement, head in the clouds. This may have been a reality check. Shout out to my dog, Keandre. That's a damn good point. And it's a valid thing to discuss because Tank he's already came out and said a few times on how he was retiring, he was coming back, and then he was like, okay, now this is the last year. And then he said he wants to fight 3 times this year, then he's hanging it up. And so that's a valid point. You know what I mean? Like, has he got past the point in which, like, is he to that point? And this happens with fighters, and especially guys that are accomplished, or especially guys that are at the top of the sport, where you just lose interest. You know what I'm saying? Like, you lose the love for it, and it just becomes it turns into just a job like anything else. And so it does look like Tank may have reached that point. And if that's the case, I'm not going to take anything from Lamont Roach. That's on Tank. Once you sign that line to get in the ring, it is what it is. I'm not giving you no extras. I'm not going to give you no extras because of that. You shouldn't have showed up. You know what I mean? But that is a valid point. Is his head still in the game? Is he still hungry? Because that's valid. That's definitely valid. So that's a fair point to make. Now, hopefully, Keandre, hopefully what this does is, just like you said, hopefully this is the reality check. Hopefully this does wake Tank Davis back up, and maybe he's been smelling himself for a little too long, and now he gets exposed. And so now, instead of being the media darling everywhere he goes, because everywhere he goes, he's respected as knockout Tank. Man, these guys can't even fool with you. Knockout Tank. You ain't even got to fight Shakur. We know he ain't even worthy to get in the ring. You ain't got to fight Devin. That's easy work. Knockout Tank. Well, now he got booed last night, and he didn't understand it. He ain't never been on that side of it. You know what it reminded me of last night? Watching Tank Davis look bamboozled while he's getting booed and not understand why nobody understands that his hair got something in his, like, nobody cared about that. It felt like when LeBron went to Miami and suddenly he was the villain. Remember when LeBron was first went to Miami and he was the villain and he didn't know how to take it? He didn't know how to respect it. He's like, wait, no, y'all don't love me? Everybody's supposed to love me. That's how Tank felt last night. That's how I felt watching Tank last night. Felt like he woke up and he was LeBron Miami. Like, I'm still Bron. I'm still cold. Like, y'all don't love me now? That's how I felt. And so hopefully, to Keandre's point, hopefully this wakes him up. Go get your lick back from Lamont. Go get that lick back. And then get in the ring with Shakur. Because I think now, there's no other fight for him now. He cannot avoid Shakur Stevenson anymore. Not after the performance we just saw, in which he was definitely vulnerable. And it really feels like popular opinion is that he lost that fight. So yeah, hopefully this does reawaken his hunger. Hopefully so, Keandre. Hopefully so. Yoshimoto, what's up, man? I don't know if I recognize his name as well. Welcome. You know what I'm saying? You one of them members now. You in the community, my dog. He said, Tank Davis said he wants to rematch, but it's not next. Oh, see, did he say that in the press conference? because I know in the in-ring interview, I just heard him talking about he wants the rematch, and then I was talking to and then I ended up talking about the fight to one of my homeboys, and I didn't hear the rest of the interviews. But he said he wants the rematch, but not next. That's interesting because who's he gonna fight? Because like this fight sold on the strength of Tank Davis promising you a knockout. So just like my dog Miles said, if he's still in the building, he said he doesn't necessarily have an appreciation for the sweet science of boxing just yet, but he does love the entertainment value, and that's completely okay because there's more than a lot of fans who just tune in because they want to see somebody get knocked out. There's nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean? Like if I'm watching baseball, I want to see home runs. You know what I mean? Me personally, I want to see home runs. Give Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa, take whatever you got to. I want to see a ball get hit 800 feet. That's how I enjoy the game of baseball. So if you tell me you're a boxing fan and you here for the knockouts, that's cool. There's nothing wrong with that, right? So if he's not going to fight Roach next, who's he think he's going to fight? Because the backlash he got when this Roach fight was announced was also unfavorable. Nobody was excited about this Lamont Roach fight. We didn't know what we were going to get from this fight. Who can say that they knew this was going to be this was going to be the toughest fight of Tank's career? Who said that? Somebody tell me. Who knew that? Who knew that this was going to be Tank Davis's most difficult fight? Because I think it's fair to say so. I think this is the only fight that it may be argued that he lost. Because the Pedraza fight was an interesting fight. Pedraza was a worthy champion. Dropped him. Leo Santa Cruz was a damn good fighter. Leo Santa Cruz may be the most impressive fighter on his resume. Leo Santa Cruz stopped him in impressive fashion. Because I don't give him much credit for Rolly at all. Rolly, a make-believe, a plant, you know what I'm saying? A make-believe challenger who was built up to be knocked out in spectacular fashion like he was. Frank Martin, a prospect. Shout out to my dog Keandre. We was talking about prospect earlier. A prospect. He's a 28-year-old prospect. He got a late start in boxing in the game. It's all good. 28-year-old prospect. You know what I mean? He gets KO'd in spectacular fashion, built up, made to think he was like, no, that wasn't a worthy opponent. Isaac Pitbull Cruz, just a tough guy that'll follow you around and let him get off. If he doesn't hurt his hand, and that one is probably more exciting. That fight looks close because he injured his hand, but clearly outclassed him, right? Ryan Garcia is a pup. Ryan Garcia, like what's Ryan Garcia accomplished? Without the fight with Devin Haney, can anybody tell me an impressive victory on Ryan Garcia's resume? No, nobody. But he's a pop star. You know what I mean? He's a pop star as well. So this is the most difficult fight we've seen in Tank's career, and it was a fight that none of us wanted to see. This is a fight that none of us wanted to see. I think my favorite fight of Shakur Stevenson, it's either Jamel Herring or Oscar Valdez, but those fights, he was aggressive, he was a bully, he let his hands go, and he was dominant. And he dominated Jamel Herring. Now, what if I tell you Lamont Roach lost to Jamel Herring? So I tell you Shakur Stevenson, who nobody respects as a power puncher or an aggressive, like all the flack that we give Shakur Stevenson, he dominated Jamel Herring. He whooped Jamel Herring's ass. He put real hands on him. He whooped Jamel Herring's ass. Jamel Herring beat Lamont Roach. This is the same Lamont Roach that arguably just beat Tank Davis last night. So this guy has rehumanized Tank Davis. Tank Davis was invincible. Tank Davis was thought of as invincible. Well, no, not anymore. And so if he's not going to fight Lamont Roach next, who's he going to fight? Because I know he's not going to go from Lamont Roach to Shakur, because that's the only other person I think he can fight validly and not get criticized or critiqued. So who's he going to fight next if not Lamont Roach? I need to know. Who's out there? Because he's not going to fight anybody more dangerous. He's not going to fight Shakur. He's not crazy enough to fight Keyshawn Davis next. So who's next? He's going to get another pumpkin? He's going to they're going to try to build up, Leonard Ellerby is going to go try to build up another Rolly Romero for him to knock out and get his groove back, who's he gonna fight? So I would be surprised. Roach should avoid rematch and Bate take the fight at his terms because dude got robbed. Well, here's the only I get what you're saying there, but here's the only thing about it as well. This is Roach's best opportunity to provide for him. Roach is 28. It took Roach 28 years to get to this level of fight. I would imagine he made the most money he's ever made. And if he doesn't fight Tank next, like I'm interested to see Lamont Roach fight because of what he did against Tank. But you got to strike when the iron's hot. There's no promise that he'll be as valuable at any other point going forward in his career. This is a career peak moment. This is a peak career defining moment for Lamont Roach. Because who was he in our mind before this point? And I just told y'all he lost to Jamel Herring. It's not guaranteed that if he goes and fights another guy or two to try to make Tank come to him, he may lose one of those. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like he's not guaranteed or promised anything. So he's got to capitalize while he's an asset as well. Imagine Lamont Roach taking that approach. That shit rhymed, didn't it? Imagine Lamont Roach taking that approach and putting Tank off, right? Because Tank still has options. Tank still doesn't need Roach. We want to see it with Roach again. Tank said he's willing to fight Roach again because he wants to get that dirt off his name, right? But he doesn't need him because we would still pay through the nose to see him fight Shakur. You don't think Turkey Al-Sheikh drop off 8-digit checks for Tank to take his spoiled ass to Saudi, to Riyadh and fight Shakur? You don't think Tank is still going to make $10 million if he fights Tank, if he fights Shakur next? You don't think Tank will still make $10 million if he fights Lomachenko next? You don't think Tank will still make $10 million if he fights Keyshawn Davis next in Riyadh? So Tank doesn't need Roach. That's the only thing. Roach's leverage is public perception. But we'll forget about it if Tank announces he's fighting Shakur next. We were like, damn, yeah, I did want to see Roach, him and Roach run that back. Like, yeah, that'd been cool to see. But shit, I've been waiting to see him and Shakur for 3 years. So we'll move on. And then Roach has played himself. Because then he'll go back then he'll be chasing that rematch. Then he'll be calling him out. Hey, come on, man, I got you the first one. But let's say Tank says, if Tank is serious about retiring at the end of this year, he said he wanted to fight 3 times this year. If that's serious, and this is one fight, and if Tank is serious about only fighting 2 more before retiring, then you think we want to waste one of those on Lamont? And this is respectfully, because Lamont won that fight, in my opinion. I scored it a draw. But I am of a mind that if not a draw, Lamont won that round. And there's enough swing rounds in this one for me that I could have scored it for Lamont as well. So I'm not disrespecting Lamont Roach when I say this, but that's just the way it is. If you told me I can only get 2 more fights from Shakur Stevenson, the next I want to see from Tank Davis. I want to see Shakur be one of those fights, and then I want to see Keyshawn Davis myself. I'll take those 2 over another fight, over a rematch with Roach. And Roach fought his ass off. But, you know what I mean? So Roach is his time to strike is limited still. He needs his fight. Because if he's not fighting Tank, he's not gonna be a main card draw. Like, yeah, I would definitely love to see him fight again, but he better be on a card or somebody else. He's not gonna headline or frontline his own show. So he still needs Tank more than Tank needs him. So I wouldn't play myself. Like, yeah, I definitely would. I think I would run it back as fast as I can because I want to catch Tank right now. If, like my dog Keandre said, if Tank's head's not in it, he's thinking about retirement, boom, 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 all of these things, then yeah, I want to run it right back. Because I don't want to give that sleeping lion time to wake up. That's what this was similar to what Sugar Ray Leonard did with Duran. He got his ass beat that first fight, trying to go toe-to-toe with Duran, trying to fight Duran's fight. And the genius of Sugar Ray Leonard, he's like, nah, run it right back. Don't give him no time to sleep. Don't give him no time to rest. Don't give him no time to party. Run it right back. And then in the second fight, he ran it right back, and he showed his intelligence He fought a smart fight instead of trying to fight an aggressive fight. He fought smarter instead of harder and made the man quit. Made the man just throw his hands up and quit and walk out because he was so frustrated. So if I'm Lamont Roach, run it right back. I don't want to give you time to go and overanalyze to get another fight, knock somebody out, get your confidence back. Like, no, I want to fight you right now while I've got your confidence shooken, while I've got your confidence broken. Because, look, Tank Davis' response in this fight, having his feelings hurt that the crowd booed him, not understanding why nobody gave him any sympathy for having grease running his eye, saying he wants to rematch right there in the spot. You know what I'm saying? Like, all those things tell me that, no, his confidence is shaking. He didn't know how to handle not being the media darling. Everybody loves me. Why are y'all booing me? No, it was something in my eye. No, we can run it back. You know what I mean? Like, if I'm Roach, no, run it right back. Let me get you while you're right now, because I can put doubt in your mind. There's doubt in your mind now. Tank Davis, you know what happens with Tank Davis at the end of a fight? You know what happens with Tank Davis at the end of a fight when he knows he's won? Backflips off the top rope. Crazy stuff. You know what I'm saying? Tank didn't do none of that. Tank put his jacket on. Tank just got done fighting for an hour. He put on a thick-ass leather jacket because he was ready for it to be announced. He lost his fight. He was finna leave the ring. He put his jacket on. Tank didn't look like he was confident he won that fight. You know what I mean? So if I'm Roach, I want to capitalize on that. Whatever smudge or modicum of doubt that I may have in your mind, I want to take advantage of it right now. I don't want to let you go rebuild and come back as the monster that you had been when you were hungry. So I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. Tank said the guy he was going to call out was chilling in his locker room. Who was in the locker room? Hey, Yashimoto, man, help me out, dog. Who was in the locker room? Who was in the locker room? Man, now I'm trying to think. I mean, I wasn't overly paying attention to the locker room. Who was in the locker room, man? Help me out. I doubt it was Shakur. I know Shakur wasn't in there. Shit. Who was in his locker room? Yashimoto, man, you can't leave me hanging, dog. You can't leave me hanging like this. You got to tell me who was in there that he would call out. And then I can tell you if it makes sense. If it makes sense or not to me. Yashimoto say he don't know either. I saw chat like, who could it be? Who could it be? I don't know, man. Because Tank is still fighting at 35 as well. Like, who could it be that makes sense? Him and Shakur ain't cool, so I know Shakur wasn't in his locker room. Him and Keyshawn Davis not cool or close. I know he wasn't in there. Those are the only two names I want to see. If it's not Lamont Roach, I want to see one of those two guys. I wouldn't mind seeing him and T.O. fight. T.O.'s at 140 now, but I wouldn't mind still seeing that. You know what I mean? I wouldn't mind still seeing it, but like, I don't know if Teofimo was in his locker room. I don't know, man. Who was that? Maybe Ryan Garcia? Because him and Ryan Garcia are cool, you know what I'm saying? Relatively cool or whatever. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm surprised. I'm not sure at all. Damn, now I'm thinking. Now, I ain't gonna lie, man. Given what we saw and the response that Tank has got, it's got to be Lamont Roach. And if it's not Lamont Roach, it's got to be it's got to be Shakur. I don't think he can afford to avoid Roach, rematching Roach, or Shakur Stevenson. So, yeah. Okay. So that's what they said. Okay, yeah. Now I gotta do some research when I get off here, man, to see who he could have been talking about. Because now I gotta do some research. Because I'm not sure who that was. I'm not sure. Yeah, I missed that. I don't know. Damn. I don't know, man. He's got to fight Roach or Shakur next in my book. I don't know who else it could be. Because Lomachenko, I think Lomachenko is soft retired as well. I think Lomachenko may have one more fight to make a little money, then he's going to go ahead and fade away. And I don't know if it'll be against Tank. I hope Lomachenko underestimates Keyshawn Davis and maybe Lomachenko fights Keyshawn Davis. I think Keyshawn Davis beats him similar to what we saw from the Teofimo Lopez fight. I think Keyshawn Davis is a problem, man. I've been singing the praises of Keyshawn Davis for a little while, man. I've been telling y'all for a little while he's my favorite young fighter. And I think he's a problem for a lot of these names. I think he's got the skill set. Like I said, these styles make the fights, man. I think he could beat Lomachenko, especially this older Lomachenko, in fairness. I think he could beat him. I think he could beat Tank Davis, honestly. And I thought he had a chance to beat him before this Lamont Roach fight. And now seeing this Lamont Roach fight, I'm convinced he's got more than a fair shot to beat Tank Davis. That's a 50-50 fight now. That's a Keyshawn Davis and Tank Davis is a 50-50 fight, in my opinion. Maybe before I had it 60-40 for Tank, because I thought stylistically that Keyshawn could be a problem. But now seeing that's a 50-50 fight, in my opinion. I ain't gonna lie to none of y'all. In my humble opinion. But all right, man. All right. I think we might have beat that. We might have beat that horse, man. That's a dead horse. Did anybody watch any other boxing? We've had some good ones. Now let me know if y'all want to talk about it, or we can get up out of here if it's time to. But did y'all watch the Beterbiev and Bivol rematch? I don't know how y'all felt about that. I loved it. I thought the first fight was very entertaining. I thought the second fight was entertaining as well. I thought Bivol won. I had Bivol winning that rematch. I had it 115-113 Bivol. And honestly, I think that my card was a little close because I think Bivol essentially conceded that 12th round. But if you tell me you had Bivol winning that fight 8-4, I don't know if 9-3, but if you told me you had Bivol winning at 8-4, I'd agree. Because I thought I had it in my mind, it felt like 8-4 watching it. But then, of course, when I went and tallied it, it was 7-5. And Bivol essentially conceded that 12th round. But I thought Bivol definitely handled his business, man. I thought it was a spectacular performance. Spectacular performance. Then let me see what else happened. I think we did mention it. Shakur gets a dominant 9th round KO against Josh Padley. Now, this was a fill-in fight, of course. We know Kid Austin was ill or hospitalized with some style of illness, had to back out of that fight. Regardless if you believe it or not, that's what happened, right? And so he gets that knockout in the knife to the body. And I really enjoyed this fight. I expected him to win, and so I'm not trying to give Shakur too much credit for his win by a 9th round KO, but it was less about him winning and more about just how he won. Because we've been criticizing and critiquing Shakur for being too cautious, for leaning too much into the science, right, of hit and not get hit. There's no one better than Shakur in boxing right now. But sometimes maybe he gets too into that. He gets too cautious. You know what I mean? And so now I was excited in seeing him just come forward, throw your hands, let your hands go, land shots, stay in pocket. He did all that. And honestly, now Josh Padley, for his part, it's nothing against. He had 4 days notice, or maybe he had a week's notice that he was getting this fight. So kudos and shout out to him for stepping up to that challenge and even taking the fight. He was an undefeated fighter himself, 15-0. Now, shout out to Turkey Ali Sheik for making it worth his while. He was a part-time electrician because he couldn't afford to be a fighter full-time. Well, the money he made from this fight, he retired. He's retired as an electrician, and now he's fighting full-time. So kudos to him as well. But this is more about, it wasn't about Shakur winning. That wasn't in question unless something crazy was going to happen. This is more about how's he win. How's he look winning? And Shakur showed everything that we had all called him out for. So he was aggressive. He let his hands go. He landed strong shots. And he got a stoppage. Stoppage to the body. I don't care. He stopped him. And he put real hands on him. And so I was very impressed by the performance. Because stylistically, it just showed what we need to see for Shakur to get some more buzz back about him fighting Tank. Oh, Yoshimoto said he thought Beterbiev won, but a draw seemed fair. Okay. I'm not gonna lie. I thought the first one was a draw. Like, I had a draw for the first one. I thought the second one I felt good about Beterbiev. About Bivol. And in the first one, I had it a draw as well, though. I did. I thought that first one was a draw. They gave the edge to Beterbiev, and I didn't hate it because I think Bivol, he did a lot of conceding as well. I wasn't upset with a draw for the first one. They end up giving it a split decision or a split majority, however they termed it. But it went to Beterbiev. I didn't hate it, but I felt like it was a draw. The second one, I felt like Bivol did what he had to do, man. I felt like Bivol. I think Bivol did all the things he did well in the first one, and he improved upon them. I really think he did, man. I thought he had that second one. I gave it to him. Hey, my dog, man, Day One Gang Jarrell in the building, man. What's up, man? So what's the deal? He said to hear about all the fight info because he was asleep. Oh, man, you didn't, man, look. My dog Jarrell, man. Damn, I wish you could have got in. We had just finished talking about it, bro. Hey, we literally just wrapped up that Tank fight. But I guess a quick synopsis for you, right? Quick synopsis. Now, I scored the fight. When I scored it live, no, I'm gonna say it twice. All right? I'm gonna say it twice. Oh, sis says she got a slide. Hey, appreciate you as always. Go ahead, have a beautiful day. Matter of fact, I'm gonna see you later on. I'm gonna see you later on at the brunch or whatnot. So I'll see you here in a little bit. I appreciate you coming through as always, though. But yeah, no. So as far as the fight, now when I was watching the fight live, like when the last round went off, I thought to myself, I was like, man, Lamont Roach did it. I thought Lamont Roach upset. I thought it was gonna be a 115-113 for Lamont. But I had to add my scorecard up. And then when I actually tallied my scorecard, I scored it a draw. So I scored it 114-114. So if you told me it was a draw, or if you told me that Lamont Peterson won, I can agree with that. I can get on board with that. I don't think Tank Davis did enough to win the fight. Visually and neither on my scorecard as well. So I did have it I would have been a fan in favor of Lamont winning that fight if he did. Now, the official scorecards, it was ruled a majority draw. One judge did have it 115-13 for Davis. I don't like that card. I don't know if I can say that Tank won 7 rounds. I just don't. I think if anybody won 7 rounds, I think it was Roach. If anybody won 7, I think it was Roach. I think Tank maxed at 6 rounds, in my opinion, right? But then the other 2 cards had it 114-114 for a draw, and that's the same card I had. So I'm not upset, but there's a part of me that still is a little disappointed because I felt like Lamont Roach did enough to win that game or to win that fight for sure. But officially, it was ruled a majority draw, and I had it a draw as well. Oh, Yashimoto, man, yeah, you got in here late as well. I didn't get your score. Okay, you had a 7-5 for Roach without the knockdown. And see, I can see that. And so, matter of fact, yeah, I forgot, Yashimoto, man. I had people give me their scores earlier, and so I didn't get yours. So I ended up having it 114-114, but when the fight ended, I thought it was Roach. I was like, Roach did it. Because going into that 12th, I was like, I think this 12th round probably decided this fight. And I think I gave that 12th round to Roach. I thought he edged the round. No, wait. Yeah, I did. I gave that 12th round. I edged that 12th round to Roach, and I thought that was going to be enough for a 7-5. But when I actually tallied my score, it ended up being 6-6. But there's a couple rounds here that were very close, and that could have been scored either way. I think the 7th round, I ended up scoring for Tank, and I think that round could have been a Roach round. You know what I mean? That 7th round. The 8th round is where we got probably the biggest punch of the night. Oh, man. Hey, matter of fact, Yashimoto, man, you weren't in here earlier, so you didn't get to see the footage. I pulled that footage for everybody of the 8th round shot in which Tank got staggered. So let me go ahead and play it for you and my dog, Day One Gang Jarrell, man, because y'all didn't see it. Day One Gang Jarrell. When you rewatch this Tank versus Roach fight, you got to understand, this was definitely the most difficult fight for Roach. I think the second half of the fight is where the action really picked up. The first half of the fight was a little overly tactical, but here's probably the highlight in round 8 of the fight. Okay, is it not playing? Hold on. Ah, here it is. Damn.
Oh, there it is. And Davis just got backed up with a counter right from Roach. Boom.
All right, I'm gonna play it one more time. I'm gonna play it one more time.
And there it is. And Davis just got backed up with a counter right from Roach. Boom.
Hey, so as you can see now, this was not a cakewalk. This was a very tough competitive fight, and Lamont Roach did more than enough to hurt his own. He more than held his own in this fight for sure. He more than held his own in this fight for sure. But yeah, nah, man. Hey, definitely. You got to run this one back. You got to run it back, man, for sure. Like I said, now I warn you, the first half of the fight, it starts a little slow, but the second half of the fight, it definitely picked up. But no, okay. So Yoshimoto he said he had a 7-5 Roach even without the knockdown, and so I can see that. I would agree with that. Like I said, when I watched it visually, I thought Roach was going to have a 7-5 win on my card, but then when I added everything, I actually had a 6-6. But like I said, I think the 7th round was a close enough round. It could have went either way. Also, the second round, I gave that second round to Tank, and I think it was more about. I can't wait to rewatch it. I haven't rewatched it yet. And so I know I was talking to some of the other guys in the chat earlier, and they were saying that when like one of the guys, I'm trying to find this comment, Zay Money said when he watched it live, he actually had an 8-4 for Roach. But then when he rewatched it, he said when he rewatched it, he had it 9-3 for Roach. 9-3 feels a little wide to me. 9-3 feels a little wide. I think it was a 7-5 fight for Roach, and that's why I can't wait to rewatch it. I think it may have been a 7-5 fight. Maybe if you give every close round to Roach, maybe I could be talking to an 8-4. 9-3 feels a little wide to me, though. It does. That does feel a little wide, but I haven't rewatched it yet. Because just like Zay Money, I like to watch the fights live. I score them live myself. And then a day or two later, or whatever, I go back and I'll rewatch it, especially if it's like a big fight. I normally do it. I'll go back and rewatch it, and then I just rescore it for myself. Just because I'm a boxing junkie, I can't help myself. And so Zay Money, shout out to Zay Money, man. He said on his rewatch, he actually had it a little wider for Roach. And so I can't wait to rewatch it as well to see what I think. Jose Pereira, shout out to you, my boy. He also had it 9-3 for Roach. And so, like I said, I think that sounds a little wide, but I think there's an avenue for it. I think, like I said, round 7 for me, I think was a borderline swing round. I gave the edge to Tank in that round. Round 2 to me wasn't very exciting. I ended up scoring it for Tank, but I think I was more so about critiquing or not seeing the things I wanted to see from Roach in the round, more so than about what Tank actually did. So I want to rewatch it as well. I want to take a better look because I think the judges all gave round 2 to Roach, if I'm not mistaken. And so I want to go back and rewatch it to kind of see if maybe I missed an opportunity there for Roach. Because if I give those 2 rounds to Roach, well then my card is 8-4 at that time. If I give those 2 rounds to Roach, and those 2 rounds very well could be Roach rounds. And so I think my dog Keandre, man, I'm looking for your score as well. My dog Keandre had his 7-5 for Tank. I'm looking for you. Yeah, there we go. My dog Keandre had a 7-5 for Tank, and honestly, when the way he explains it, it's a valid argument as well. Like it's a fair version of the fight, and we know it's not crazy because one of the judges saw the fight like my dog Keandre did. A 7-5 card for Tank, right? 115, 113 for Tank. And his rationale was Roach was busy, but he thinks that Tank had the better big shots. And the thing about it is, I think Tank did land. I think he landed cleaner big shot. No. Yeah, I'll say I think he may have landed cleaner big shots, but I think Roach landed the better big shots. Because the biggest shot of the night was that replay that we just saw from round 8. That's the biggest shot of the night. And also, especially in the second half of that fight, I really felt that that Roach started winning those exchanges, and I think he got the better of him on the inside countering. I think he was fantastic. He was fantastic on the inside countering of Tank, and he landed some very solid shots in those instances, man. And especially, like I said, towards the second half of that fight, for sure. But yeah, if that knockdown is scored the way it's supposed to be scored, then it's unquestioned. If the knockdown is appropriately scored, then it's a unanimous decision for Roach on all cards. Oh, hey, champion in the building, man. What's going on, dog? My dog champion in the building, man, from Phoenix. If I remember right, my dog champion out there in Phoenix, Arizona. What's going on, Playboy? He said, well, now we know why Tank output is so low. We just saw him smoking the blunt a few weeks ago. And you know what? I'm glad you brought that back up because I talked about it earlier as well. Tank's output is already very low, especially to be a lighter fighter. So Tank averages like 30, 35 punches around. That's extremely low. Like, that's mild for a heavyweight. Generally speaking, the heavier the fighter, the less punches that are thrown, right? So he already has a very slow output, relatively speaking, for his weight class at 30, 35 punches on average. Last night, he only averaged 23 punches around. And you know what that tells me? Lamont took his respect. Lamont was the front foot fighter. Lamont pushed Tank. Lamont stayed on the front foot and really kind of forced Tank to move and fight on the back foot. I said earlier, probably 80% of that fight, I feel like Lamont was the guy fighting on the front foot for the bulk. Maybe 80 is too strong, but for the bulk of that fight, Lamont was the guy on the front foot. And he absorbed fantastic shots by Tank. Tank landed some very solid, strong shots. Shots that put guys like Rolly down, that put guys like Ryan Garcia down, that put Jose Pedraza down, that put Leo Santa Cruz down, that put Frank Martin down. So he did land those shots in this fight as the fight wore on in that second half. Lamont took those shots and returned fire with fire, and especially the longer the fight went on, it could be said he got the better of those exchanges. Much like the highlight in round 8. I'm going to play it again because my dog Champion just got in the building. Man, shout out to my dog. But when we look at this, I'm going to play it again, and I want y'all to look at this clip. Because if you look in this clip before Roach returns fire with the strong right hand that stumbles Tank got off some pretty solid shots. Now, Roach did have his guard up, and so he was able to take one of those glancing off the glove, but those are very solid shots. And I want to say, especially early, one or two of those got through. And then Roach took it, rode with it, and returned fire and almost put Tank on his pockets. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Tank for showing his own strength of his own chin and keeping his balance, because he took 2-3 hard steps back. And if he was off balance or maybe had a softer chin disposition, he might have been on his pockets. So we're going to watch it again for my dog Champion.
Oh, there it is. And Davis just got backed up with a counter right from Roach. Boom.
It stuttered a little bit. I hope it played good for y'all. If you want to see it again, let me know. I'll run it again. But the first clip where it shows it live, right? Tank lands a damn good inside uppercut. You know what? You know how dangerous Tank's uppercut is? Tank almost decapitated a man on live television throwing that same uppercut. The Leo Santa Cruz knockout, probably one of the top 15 knockouts of any fight of all time. That uppercut he threw in the corner when he went around the third right hand, I think that was Santa Cruz, the Santa Cruz knockout. And he came inside with that left uppercut and almost took that man's head off his shoulders. He hit Roach with that shot. He hit him with that uppercut. He took that. Then Tank resets again. He throws his own left, and that's the one we seen. Roach takes some of it on the glove. He does, but it's still a solid shot. And he takes some of it on the glove, and he comes back and lands that right and staggers Tank and almost put Tank on his spot. I'm gonna play it again. In case y'all missed it. But look and see in the first run of that clip, Tank lands an inside uppercut, that left uppercut that almost killed Leo Santa Cruz on 4K live television. He lands that shot on Roach, who takes that shot, takes one more, and then almost puts Tank on his pockets.
is. Oof. And Davis just got backed up with a counter right from Roach. Boom.
Did y'all see it? Y'all, did you see what I'm talking about? Did y'all see the left uppercut? Did y'all see that left uppercut? Tank puts boys to sleep with that same shot. We've seen it. I think that was 2020 knockout of the year. I want to say it was 2020. It was knockout of the year for whatever year that was. Either 2020, 2021. That shot. Leo Santa Cruz ain't no pup. Leo Santa Cruz ain't Ryan Garcia. Leo Santa Cruz ain't Frank Martin. Leo Santa Cruz a fighter. And especially at that time, a legitimate champion. A legitimate, highly regarded, capable champion. Almost lost his head off his shoulders from that same shot. Lamont Roach took that shot, took another one, and then almost set Tank Davis down. Come on, man. So just like Champy said, his output, which is already low, it was even lower in this fight because he couldn't hurt Lamont Roach. Tank landed that shot. He landed several very solid, very clean shots throughout this fight. He could not hurt Lamont Roach. And Lamont Roach, as evidence in that one, he felt Lamont's power. He felt Lamont Roach's power. It's deeper than just that one, which he stumbled him, but his low output, which is his low, he's already low, his output being even a third, he was 30% less than his normal output, and he's already low. He generally throws 30-35. He threw 20-25. He threw a third less punches than any other fight than his average for fighting. That tells me he didn't have enough faith in his own power, and he respected the power he was getting back from Lamont Roach. You know what I'm saying? So, shout out to my dog Champion, man. And he did. He was like, hey, whoa, hey. Don't hit me all hard like I'm the only person hits hard in here, man. What you doing? Yoshimoto said Tank said he lost focus of what round it was. He thought round 12 was round 8. Hey, I wouldn't doubt it. Because that was a damn shot aside. Excuse me. That was a damn solid shot. And this is a credit to Tank Davis. Another guy probably goes down. Frank Martin probably goes down right there. I'm not trying to disrespect Frank or whatever, but I'm just saying. Because Frank Martin was on Twitter or X, and he said he wants to fight Lamont Roach. Like, all right, shit, go for it. But maybe he goes down for that shot. I think it's more than a few guys that probably go down from that shot. So that's still a credit to Tank Davis, because he took that shot as well. Lost his balance, stayed upright, but he definitely took a strong shot. Oh yeah, for sure. Hey, Champy, man, did you tell me, Champy, who'd you have winning the fight? Did you score it? And then whether or not you scored it or not, who'd you think won? So I got the official card and the official decision on the screen. I scored it 114 a draw. But when the 12th round ended, before I tallied my card, I thought Lamont Roach won that fight. Like, I thought my card was going to be 115-113 for Roach. That's what I anticipated. But when I actually went back and tallied it, it ended up being a draw on my card. But there's a couple rounds that were, borderline swing rounds that maybe they could have went the other way that I gave the Tank. And if that's the case, then I definitely would have had Roach winning that fight. So, but yeah, Champion, let me know, man. Who'd you think actually won the fight? I'm curious to know. I think it feels like most everybody in here has sided with Roach. I think my dog Keandre had Tank still at 7'5", 115, 113. And I think somebody else may have also had Tank with the edge, but I feel like myself and I know Jose Pereira and Zay Money, I believe they also had Roach. They had Roach by wider margins than myself, but they also had Roach as well, for sure. And Yoshimoto, I'm tripping. He had Roach as well. But yeah, damn good fight, man. Damn good fight. Like, especially that second half. But man, I don't know, man, where we at? Man, we about an hour and a half in. That's pretty solid. You know what I'm saying? I've been on break since the NFL season. You know what I'm saying? You know, NFL season, this is primarily an NFL channel. You know what I mean? But now that the season's over, the Super Bowl and all that good stuff, you know what I'm saying? I took a 2-week break. You know what I mean? And now we getting into NFL draft all season. I love the draft. You know what I'm saying? I was watching the combine. I'm probably going to watch a little combine now before I get out and start my day. You know what I mean? But I'm getting into my draft stuff, so I'll be posting draft content and all that good stuff. And then definitely, this is going to be a big year for boxing. So there'll probably be more boxing shows that we can expect, more boxing lives, or, you know what I'm saying? So y'all can get in and tap in with your dog, man, especially like any big fight. Maybe not for every fight, but there's some big name fights coming up. I know Canelo's fighting again in May. Teofimo Lopez, Ryan Garcia, and Devin Haney are all going to share the same card in May as well, that same weekend. I think those three are fighting May 2nd. It's a Friday. And then I think Canelo fights that Saturday. So looking into the future, I can already tell you we'll have a show that first weekend of May, and we'll talk about the Canelo fight, and then we'll talk about the Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia, and Teofimo Lopez fights as well. And then, of course, in September, we've got Canelo versus Bud Crawford coming up. Cannot wait for that. And so this is a big, like I said, this is a big year from boxing, and there's no telling what we'll see in the meantime, between time from then. Do we get an announcement in these coming weeks about Tank Davis rematching Lamont Roach? Or my dog Yoshimoto said that Tank was saying something about maybe wanting to challenge another fighter that was actually in his dressing room. I got to look into that. Shout out to Yoshimoto, man. I gotta look into that and see maybe who we could have been talking about. But do we get the Lamont Roach rematch? And if so, how soon do we get that? And then if it's not Lamont Roach for whatever reason, who is it? Because if it's not Shakur Stevenson, boy, it's gonna smell like hoe activity. I'm gonna let you know right now, Tank. If you don't rematch Lamont Roach, especially after you said you want it, and Lamont said he wants it as well. So if you don't do that fight, it can't be a bum. It can't be a tomato can. Leonard Ellaby can't go create a Rolly Romero for you to knock out. He better not go prop up a Frank Martin for you to knock out. It better be somebody with some chops. It's got to be somebody worthwhile. If it's not Lamont Roach or Shakur Stevenson, I don't know who else it could be that would make me feel anything other than you was ducking smoke. You know what I mean? The only other name I may entertain is Keyshawn Davis. Because I fool with Keyshawn. I think it's going to be a hell of a fight. I think that might be a hell of a fight. I'd rather see that at the end of the year. I want you to rematch Roach. I want you to fight Shakur. Then I want you to fight Keyshawn Davis. That's what I want to see. But nah, man, so be that as it may. Like I said, unless y'all got something for me before we wrap it on up, man, you better speak now or forever hold your peace. If you got something now to get off your chest, you better speak now or forever hold. Oh, man, hold on. My dog Keanu said Roach is the only acceptable fight. You know, I think it is, unless it's Shakur. If he doesn't fight Roach and he fights Shakur next, I'll take it. Because he can still fight Roach after that. But if he tells me, all right, Roach, we still going to run it back, but I'm going to handle my business with Shakur, I'm not going to be mad at that because I want to see that as well. So I'm not going to be mad at that. Hold on, man. My dog D. Will in the building. Hey, D. Will, man. Hey, man, hold on, man. You not just going to jump into the end of the show and then you going to, man, man, Keyshawn the dog, man. Keyshawn the dog, man. Keyshawn the champion now, too, now. He's no longer a prospect. He's got gold. He's got a real strap. He beat the shit out of Denys Berinchyk. KO'd him in 4, dominated. I think Keyshawn stylistically is a damn good fight for Tank. I think stylistically I think Keyshawn Davis is gonna give Tank the same problems that he dealt with Lamont Roach. Except I think Keyshawn is naturally bigger and stronger than Roach. I think he's naturally bigger and stronger than Roach, but I think stylistically, you gotta listen to me. Hear me out. The things that we saw Lamont Roach do to have so much success against Tank Davis, I'm gonna tell you, he stood toe to toe with him all night. That's number one. He fought fire with fire, right? I think, especially in the second half of the fight, when they really started letting their hands go, I think he started getting the better of Tank in those exchanges. I think he was the better inside counterpuncher the night of the fight. I think like Tank is a counterpuncher. Because he knocks everybody out, people talk about Tank like he's a come and get you fighter. He's not. He's a counterpuncher. He's a power counterpuncher. Well, Lamont Roach, he didn't get reckless. He didn't just go in throwing his hands he didn't just get reckless and just let his hands go without caution, like we saw Ryan Garcia and Rolly Romero do and both get caught, or like we saw Leo Santa Cruz do, right? He didn't do that. He stayed measured. He stayed within himself. He stayed on the front foot. He was the front foot fighter. He pushed Tank around the ring the bulk of that fight. I think Keyshawn Davis also has that same ability. Keyshawn is also a very aggressive inside fighter, because I think Lamont Roach won the inside battle. And I think on the inside is where his counterpunching really shined. He got the better of those inside exchanges. I think Keyshawn Davis has that same arsenal. You know what I mean? A front foot fighter, aggressive, not intimidated, will stand toe-to-toe, and is willing to counter on the inside, because Keyshawn Davis is a hell of a counterpuncher as well inside. Bro, I think Keyshawn Davis is a better, more talented version of what we saw from Lamont Roach last night. I think bro, I'm telling you, and I'm not just saying this because of last night. If y'all heard me on this show, my dog Keandre should be able to vouch for me in the chat. He know Keyshawn Davis is my favorite of these young fighters. I love me some Keyshawn Davis. I've been saying I want to see Keyshawn Davis fight Tank now for a little while, because I thought that, yeah, I like that fight, man. I still thought that Tank, like that fight before last night. I think that fight was probably 60-40 Tank. Keyshawn Davis and Keyshawn Davis versus Tank. I thought it was a 60-40 for Tank. Last night, that's a 50-50 fight, bro. I'm convinced Keyshawn Davis is a 50-50 fight against Tank Davis. The Tank we saw last night, Keyshawn Davis beats him. I really believe so. I think he does everything that we saw Lamont Roach do, except I think he's even bigger and stronger. And we saw Lamont Roach almost put Tank on his pockets. Hey, Derek, you just got here? Let me run my beam footage. It's another excuse me to run the footage. Hold on, Derek. Don't go nowhere.
Davis just got backed up with a counter right from Roach. Boom.
Now, Derek, in that clip, so even last night when I was watching the fight, because Lamont Roach was the smaller fighter. This is another thing that we forget. Lamont Roach was the smaller fighter last night. Lamont Roach is the guy who had never fought at 135 pounds before last night. Lamont Roach is the guy that came up a weight class to challenge an established, dangerous champion. He's the guy he was the smaller guy that came up in this fight. Keyshawn Davis is naturally bigger than both of these guys. And so when I see Lamont Roach handle Tank's power better than anyone we've seen before. Because, and I talk about this, Derek, I'm glad you're in here, bro. I hope you're still in here. And I'm going to catch up on my comments, but I'm too busy talking. I'm going to play that clip again because I just showed everybody else. Tank lands a strong-ass inside left uppercut at the very beginning of that clip. And then he lets go another left hand that we see Lamont take it as a glancing blow. That it still found some face. It still found some jaw, but it was a glancing blow, and then he returns with that right hand, right? But he lands the inside left uppercut on the chin. That's the same shot that almost killed Leo Santa Cruz. Leo Santa Cruz almost had his neck broke, taking that same inside left uppercut from Tank. The highlight knockout for Tank's career. Leo Santa Cruz throws 3 right hands in a row. And on the third one, Tank dips and bow. Throws the inside left uppercut and almost takes that boy's head off his shoulders. He landed that same shot against Lamont Roach to start that exchange, and then he landed another glancing style blow. Lamont Roach ate both of those and then almost put him on his pockets. I'm going to play it one more time because I want to make sure y'all catch that uppercut. I ain't hearing enough people talk about that uppercut that we've seen put boys down.
And Davis just got backed up with a counter right from Roach. Boom.
Did you see the uppercut? Did y'all see the uppercut I'm talking about, right? Y'all had to see that uppercut. That uppercut put Leo Santa Cruz on his pocket, put him to sleep. Not knocked down and counted out. He went down, they waved off immediately and had to bring somebody in with the smelling salts to wake him up. He went to sleep. Leo Santa Cruz is a damn good fighter, especially at that time. Leo Santa Cruz, and I said this a moment ago, my dog Derek just got in here. Leo Santa Cruz may be the most impressive fighter that Tank has fought. Leo Santa Cruz is a damn good fighter, a legitimate champion, especially at that time. Leo Santa Cruz is a hell of a fighter. That shot put Leo Santa Cruz to sleep. Roach took that shot, took one more, and then almost put Tank on his pockets. Nah, man. Keyshawn Davis a live dog in that fight. Keyshawn Davis a live dog in that fight, Derek. I'm telling you, bro, you gotta look at the styles, man. The styles make the fights. The styles make the fights now. Hey, my dog Day One Gauge Real, man. Hey, it's some hoes in this house, boy. Hey, it's some hoes in this house, boy. For real. My dog Kiara said, can we get a schedule? So yeah, it's the off season for the NFL in this draft. So I'm diving into my draft stuff now. So I'm gonna be making draft content. I don't know how many lives they're gonna actually be. You know what I mean? Because like when the draft gets nearer, I'll probably have like more live shows. I think in the interim, because I'm gonna be watching a lot of film on the prospects for this year's draft, and I'm paying attention to all that stuff. So I'll probably have reels, shorts, maybe like 5-minute player spotlight videos, that type of thing to keep the channel, just keep a little activity going as we get nearer to the draft. And then as far as like official lives, it'll probably be like major boxing events. So I know, like, I don't know what's coming up like in April or the rest of this month. I know in May we get Canelo, Teofimo Lopez, Devin Haney, and Ryan Garcia. They all fight on that first weekend of May. So I know that first weekend of May we'll have a show. I know in September, of course, we got Canelo and Bud Crawford. So, but that's looking way out forward. But it's just gonna kind of be by ear, man. Unfortunately, I'm trying to think like what other fights maybe coming up. Like I definitely plan on doing shows when there's like big fights, or like let's say we get 2 or 3 big fights happen, then it gives us enough to talk about to do a full live. You feel me? So I will just kind of have to play it by ear, man. But I'll try to give more notice when I do plan on going live, so everybody can tap in and we can get in and have a good time for sure. My dog Kiara said he has to earn Shakur is don't want to see it. I think you're talking about Keyshawn Davis has to earn it. Well, and here's the thing. Keyshawn, he's a champion. So now, like, it's not, I think he's a quality opponent. He was a quality contender for me for a little while, and now he's actually got a belt. So now if he fights Tank, it's a unification. So I think Keyshawn, he's earned the right. He's a champion. And he's a legit champion. He's not like a Rolly Romero champion. Even Tank didn't get his belt in the ring. Tank got promoted to his championship. You know what I'm saying? So Tank got promoted to that belt when Devin Haney left. That's Devin Haney's belt that Tank's got. Everybody's got Devin Haney's belt. Matter of fact, I'm tripping. Everybody's got Devin Haney's belt. But Tank got his without a fight. And then at least Keyshawn Davis got his in a fight. He had to go beat up Denys Berinchyk, which he did, KO'd him in 4, but he fought to get it. Tank got that email belt. Tank got that email belt that we used to talk about with Devin Haney when he got that belt from Lomachenko. Not in a fight. He got an email from WBC saying, you the champion now. That's how Tank's a champion right now. So, you know what I'm saying? So, Keyshawn fought for his and Tank didn't fight for his. My dog there said he good, but he ain't fighting one at that level. Need to fight Martin or Cruz, even Rolly. No, because Martin and Rolly aren't real fighters though. So like, why did Frank Martin, like what did Frank Martin and Rolly do to fight Tank that makes them worthy, but it doesn't make Keyshawn Davis worthy. Rolly Romero was invented by Leonard Ellerbe. Frank Martin was a 24-year-old prospect. Frank wasn't even a contender. Frank Martin was a 28-year-old prospect when he got the Tank Davis fight. And then shout out to Leonard Ellerbe for making y'all believe he's a real contender. No. Keyshawn Davis has a higher pedigree than all those guys. Keyshawn Davis is an Olympian. Keyshawn Davis has a stellar amateur career. He was an Olympian. He won the silver medal in the Olympics. You know who else won a silver medal in the Olympics? Floyd Mayweather and no, not Tank Davis. He's not an Olympian. Floyd Mayweather, Shakur Stevenson, and Keyshawn Davis are all Olympic silver medalists. So, and he's a champion. So don't tell me that Tank can fight Frank Martin, that Tank can fight Pitbull Cruz, but he can't fight Keyshawn Davis. Y'all tripping. Y'all sleep. Frank Martin had no business being in the ring with Tank Davis. Ryan Garcia didn't earn no fight with Tank. Ryan Garcia was in that fight because he's got 2 million Twitter followers or Instagram followers. And 80% of those are 15-year-old girls. Ryan Garcia built a career in a name over knocking out guys we don't know who they are, and because he's got 2 million high school girls following his Instagram. That's what got him a fight with Tank Davis and then a fight with Devin Haney. Ryan ain't fought nobody. We can't name 3 guys that Ryan Garcia fought other than Devin and Tank. We can't name 3 more opponents Ryan Garcia's fought. Who's he fought? Frank Martin should have fought Shakur Stevenson. I wanted to see that fight. I think that was a more even matchup. He was nowhere near the class of Tank Davis. That never should have happened. And then Pitbull Cruz, Pitbull made his name because Tank didn't knock him out because Tank had one hand in that fight. Tank broke his hand in the fight and had to fight with one hand and just outboxed him. But that's how Pitbull made his name. Pitbull ain't nobody. None of those guys are a better quality fighter than Keyshawn Davis. And I tell you that thing, Keyshawn smokes both of them. Keyshawn gives both them business. Keyshawn gives both of them work. You crazy, y'all crazy as hell. Keyshawn gives both them work. For real. Keyshawn puts Frank down. And Frank called for that fight on Twitter or X or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So like Frank Martin shouted out Lamont. No, he shouted out Lamont Roach and then he called for Roach. Boy, he don't want no. Yeah, Frank Roach versus Frank Martin. Excuse me, Lamont Roach versus Frank Martin. That might be a good fight. He don't want no parts of Keyshawn Davis. Keyshawn Davis puts Frank Martin down, bruh. For sure. For sure. Keyshawn said, here's why he don't want Shakur. If he doesn't rematch Roach, the Shakur beats Tank, then what? Roach loses a year of motion where gold is involved. Okay, no, that's a fair point for us to talk about, Keandre. It's a fair point for us to talk about. So let's talk about it though. In my mind, I don't think so. Because Shakur is legit. It's not like if Tank goes and fights a bum or somebody a tomato can, if Tank was to leave this fight, go fight Rolly and lose, well then I think that makes more sense. If he leaves this fight and goes and loses a tough or competitive fight with Shakur, I don't think that takes away from this fight. It's similar to when, like let's say in the heavyweight, when Fury, Wilder, and Joshua were all circling each other and never fought each other. Well, just because Fury beat Joshua doesn't mean I don't want to see Joshua and Wilder at that time, right? So at that time when Fury beat Joshua, did you not want to see Joshua and Wilder still fight? No, we still need that. You know what I'm saying? We still need that. We still need that. You know what I'm saying? And so even right now, like Bivol just beat Beterbiev. They just split. Beterbiev beat him the first time. I thought it was a draw the first one. And then in the rematch, Bivol won. I had Bivol winning that one clear. Let's say if Bivol fights Benavidez next. If he wins or loses against Benavidez, it doesn't mean that I don't want to see Beterbiev and him have a trilogy to settle their tie. Like, I would still watch Bivol fight Beterbiev I would still watch Bivol fight Benavidez, and then winners or otherwise, I would still want to see him rematch Beterbiev if that's what they decide to do. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think it necessarily takes away. I think the only time it really loses steam like that is if you go lose to Rolly. You go lose to Frank Martin. Because then now we could question you like, oh man, like now do we even want to see you again? But if he goes to fight Shakur, a fight that we've been calling for 3-4 years, a legitimate test, a legitimate guy, if he loses that one, I don't think it takes away from the Roach fight. I don't think so. My dog Derek said Roach did his thing and earned his stripes, but we know last night Tank was not the Tank we used to seeing, but Roach made a statement and he loved it. I honestly think Tank took him too lightly and was caught. He was way off guard. Okay, and we're going to talk about this. Hey, Derek, though, did you tell me who'd you have winning the fight? I don't know if you told me who you actually had winning the fight. But, okay, so let's talk about this comment, right? He said, last night Tank wasn't the Tank we used to seeing. And you know what? I don't necessarily think so. I don't think that was the case. Tank is a very low-volume counterpuncher. But he's just got the great eraser. That's what it is. The power just didn't kick in. He landed those same shots he always lands. I showed you the inside uppercut that decapitated Leo Santa Cruz. Like, there's other clips where he lands the back-to-back straight left hands that put down, no, I'll give you a better example of that. The pull left hand, the pull straight left counter that put Rolly Marrero through the ropes. He landed that shot. He landed all the shots that we're used to seeing him land. It's just that Lamont Roach stood up to his power. Lamont Roach took some clean power shots from Tank Davis. He just wasn't affected by the power. And I talked about it earlier as well. Tank Davis, he's already a very low volume, low output fighter. Tank averages 30 to 35 punches a round. That's very low for a light class fighter. Especially 135. My dog Derek is a fighter. Derek, you know more than me. The lower the weight class, the more punches that get thrown. Right? Derek, you know this. The lighter the fighters, the more punches that get thrown. So normally, the heavier you are, the fewer punches get thrown. Tank is a light fighter that has the output of a heavyweight fighter. Like, it's like heavyweights throw 30, 35 punches around. Like, and here's a good example, Derek. Gary Antuanne Russell fought last night as well. He won the 140-pound WBA title, right? Gary Russell threw 1,000 punches last night. Gary Russell threw almost 1,000. Gary Russell threw 950 punches last night. That's 3 fights worth of punches for Tank, dog. You know what I'm saying? Tank doesn't throw a lot of punches. So he only averages like 30, 35 a round anyway. Last night, his average was 23. He averaged 23 punches. So he's already a low-volume fighter, and Roach was able to earn his respect that he didn't even let his hands go. Because Roach was able to counter. Roach out-countered him, bro. I think Roach out-countered him, especially on the inside. Roach was man, at times he was special countering on the inside. I think he won a lot of those inside counter exchanges, especially in the second half of the fight. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's where Tank shines. That's where Tank got Frank Martin in trouble. That's where Tank got Rolly Romero in trouble. That's where Tank got Leo Santa Cruz in trouble. That's where Tank got Jose Pedraza in trouble. You let your hands go, I catch you slipping, and I need one well-placed counter shot to put it on the button, and the night's over. He landed those shots against Lamont. Lamont just was able to just absorb the power. And he gave just as good or better than he got. And so I think Tank had a newfound respect for somebody else's power, and it slowed him down even more. He's already a slow fighter. You know what I'm saying? So seeing that, me watching just the style, Derek, you know, man, the styles make the fights. Uh-oh. Hold on. Hold on, my camera down. Hold on. Okay, here we go. All right. See how we bounce back? We almost had an emergency. My camera died. You know what I'm saying? But it's all good. We changed lenses. Here we go. So, what was I saying? Oh yeah, no, he was forced to show respect and honor Lamont Roach's power. And in that exchange, the highlight exchange in the 8th round, we saw he not only gave as good as he got, in a lot of those exchanges, he came out the better. And so it even slowed Tank down from his already slow pace. So when I see that, and I see stylistically, that's where I was going, the styles make the fights. Keyshawn Davis is a bigger, better version of what we saw last night from Lamont Roach, in my opinion. I think he's bigger, naturally and otherwise. He's stronger, and I think he's more aggressive. Because Lamont Roach wasn't as aggressive as I think Keyshawn Davis is and will be in that fight. And even though he wasn't as aggressive as Keyshawn, he still kept Tank on the back foot for the majority of that fight. Lamont Roach was the front foot fighter for the bulk of that fight. So, bruh, when I see that, stylistically, I think Keyshawn has a damn good chance to win that fight, bruh. Like, I'm telling you, I felt that way before this fight last night. Last night's fight reinforces in my mind that I'm not crazy. Because I've been feeling like that. Yoshimoto, what you got for me, man? Yoshimoto said, the fact that you said Keyshawn to take his 50-50 shows Tank stocks drop. Tank can't avoid big fights anymore. He needs to prove himself. Well, no, here's the thing, Yoshimoto. That's a good comment. But see, for me, I don't think it's as much about Tank's stock dropping. I think Keyshawn Davis is a hell of a fighter, dog. Like, I really think Keyshawn Davis is a hell of a fighter. And so I don't even necessarily mean it to knock Tank. Tank is still an A-plus level fighter. Now, I'm not going to tell you that Keyshawn Davis is an A-plus level fighter. I think he's a B-plus level fighter. I think he's a B-plus fighter. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think he's got the skill set and the style. That's the other thing as well we got to remember, y'all. The styles make the fights. You know what I'm saying? The styles make the fights. Because you know why? You know what's a good proof of that? Shakur Stevenson beat Jamel Herring's ass in their fight. It was almost like Shakur Stevenson's coming out party. He was the most aggressive that we'd seen him ever to that point was when he beat the sleeves off of Jamel Herring. Well, guess what? Jamel Herring beat Lamont Roach. The guy last night that arguably beat Tank, he lost to Jamel Herring. Jamel Herring got his ass beat by Shakur. So you know what that is? It's styles. So it's not just name for name. The styles matter. I think Keyshawn's style plays well against Tank. So it's not a knock against Tank, but I think the style makes the fight. I see the trouble that Lamont Roach was able to give Tank last night, and I say, shit, that's a mild version of what Keyshawn does to everybody he fights. That's a mild version of what Keyshawn does to anybody he's in the ring with. Coming forward, staying on the front foot, aggressive infighting, excellent counterpuncher, excellent inside counterpuncher, because it's different. You know what I'm saying? It's one thing to be a counterpuncher at range, right? Shakur Stevenson is one of the best. No, Shakur's an outstanding counterpuncher, period. But it's one thing to be a fantastic counterpuncher at range, right? Floyd was a great counterpuncher, especially at range. Those pull counters that we love to see, it's at range. He's measuring your range. He gets you right to the tip of his nose, slide and bow. That pull counter that's famous, right? That's at range. It's a whole other ball game being an effective counterpuncher inside, right? In the phone booth, where we don't have all this space and opportunity to completely jump out the kitchen, jump out the window like sometimes Shakur will do. He'll just jump straight out the kitchen. You know what I mean? It'll get a little hot, leave the kitchen. No. Stay there in pocket, stay in the phone booth, and land clean, thudding, crisp shots. That's a different skill set. Keyshawn's one of the best at that. Lamont Roach was fantastic at that last night. Bud Crawford's good at that. Bud Crawford's one of the best at that. And Floyd had that as well, at range and inside. Shakur has that ability, but he doesn't lean into it as much because he's just not as aggressive a fighter as some of these other guys. But Keyshawn has that in spades. And so if that's one of the main things that gave Tank trouble last night, and I say this is one of the strongest suits of Keyshawn's skill set, and the fact that he's naturally bigger and stronger, shit, that's a fight. The styles make that fight. You know what I'm saying? The styles make that fight, bro. I want to see it. I can't wait to see it. My dog Derek said Pitbull is the gatekeeper for the division. He think Keyshawn needs to fight him first, then get tanked. I don't hate that fight. I think Keyshawn has said he'll take that fight. I think Keyshawn's gonna beat shit out of Pitbull Cruz. Because Pitbull is a Pitbull. He's gonna put his head down, put his chin in his chest, put his head down, and march forward. And Keyshawn Davis is gonna beat that man black and blue. Keyshawn's gonna beat that man black and blue. I don't think he's gonna stop him just because Pitbull's got a head like a concrete brick. You know what I mean? So I don't necessarily think he stops him, but I think he beats the dog shit out of Pitbull Cruz. Because Pitbull Cruz, Pitbull's overrated in my book anyway, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you. Pitbull's definitely overrated. If Tank doesn't hurt his hand in that fight, the fight's not even as close as it was. Like, his claim to fame is that he didn't get knocked out by Tank because Tank hurt his hand. Tank beat him with one hand. Tank beat Pitbull Cruz with one hand. That's what we be forgetting about when we talk about when people remember how competitive that fight was. Tank had one hand. You know what I'm saying? And then look at Pitbull's performances since then. It feels like every time I've seen Pitbull since that fight, it's been a worse and worse performance. You know what I'm saying? He's a walking punching bag. He's a tough guy. He's a walking tough punching bag. No, okay, maybe that's a little disrespectful. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. But no, I think Keyshawn, everything he throws is going to land. Because Pitbull Cruz is going to be square with his head in his chest. He's going to be marching forward. You know what I'm saying? He's 5'3". His reach is like he's 5'3". Man, look, no. Keyshawn beats the dog shit out of Pitbull Cruz. I don't need to see him fight Pitbull. I don't think Pitbull is a good gatekeeper. Because I don't know if, like, I mean, I can see why you say that though, because I can see why you say that, but I don't think that's. I can see. Well, see, wait, no, I still don't like that. Keyshawn's already a champion. Keyshawn is a champion, so if he fights Tank, it's a unification. Like, no, man, there's no more barriers. He's a champion. If he fights Tank, it's a unification bout. It's not a first shot opportunity. He's a champion already. So nah, man, I'm not. Pitbull can't be the gatekeeper for a guy who's got a belt and who won a belt legitimately and has a legitimate pedigree. Nah. Hey, Derek. Hey, appreciate you, bro. Leonard Ellaby did his thing, bro. Leonard Ellaby. Shout out to Leonard Ellaby, bro. Because I'm telling you, bro, he worked magic with Rolly and Martin, dog, getting them to appear like they was legitimate. He said he thinks if Keyshawn beats a name Tank had already fought, it keeps Tank and Leonard from saying he hasn't fought anyone, and it gives legitimacy to the fight. Okay. Now, you saying that, now that part I could agree with if Keyshawn didn't have a belt. Keyshawn got a belt now, though. So before Keyshawn got that title, then maybe I could get on board with that a little more because he doesn't really have anything to bring to the table other than just being a tough opponent. You know what I'm saying? But he's got a belt now, bro. It's a unification fight. So, like, I do dig what you're saying, but I think now that he's got that belt, I don't think he needs that anymore as a hurdle. He said, love the point, but he meant Tank needs to re-earn the right to fight Shakur. So you think, so now you saying that Shakur is the guy to beat at 35 now and it's no longer Tank. Ooh, that's interesting, Keandre. Hold on, man. I got to think about that. Is Shakur now the guy at 135? Ooh-wee. That's interesting, Keandre. I got to think about that, bro. I'm going to think about that for a minute. Yoshimoto, no, that's a good call out. Oscar Duarte, I don't want to call Oscar Duarte legit. Because he was, and Luke Campbell was old. Well, Luke Campbell was older when he fought both those guys. They were already past it, especially Luke Campbell. I think when he fought Luke Campbell had double-digit losses. I want to say Luke Campbell, he was both these guys were in their journeyman phase when Garcia fought him. Luke Campbell had double-digit losses, and I'm talking off the top of my head right now. So you might have to double-check me. If you check BoxRec, check Luke Campbell's record when he fought Ryan Garcia. I feel like he might have had double-digit losses, unless I'm just completely misremembering. He might have had anywhere from 10 to 12 losses. You know what I'm saying? Like he was a journeyman. Oscar Duarte, he's a stepping stone. Like he's not. I wouldn't call him. Nah, both those fighters are journeymans that you bring along a young prospect because it's supposed to be a tough learning experience fight that you win, but it's not a fight that that you shouldn't realistically have a chance of losing if you're a legitimate prospect like Ryan Garcia is and was. So like those guys, and especially like I'll give more Campbell to Luke Campbell. I want to say Luke Campbell, I don't know if he actually won a championship, but I think he was like a championship contender. I think he might have fought for a title once or twice, and he lost both those, if I remember. Or maybe he actually won a title, was a short-lived champion before losing it again. But Luke Campbell's been around the block a little while, and so he was definitely a journeyman. Oscar Duarte isn't as accomplished as Luke Campbell, if I'm remembering right. But I want to say Oscar Duarte also has losses to, I think Teofimo Lopez embarrassed him. I think Teofimo Lopez knocked him out cold. And also, I want to say, I think Devin Haney also beat Oscar Duarte. I want to say. So, like, both those guys are recognizable names to a certain extent. No, wait, the Duarte fight was the fight after Tank Davis, if I remember right. And I think in that Oscar Duarte fight, that's the fight in which Ryan Garcia was trying to have that Floyd shoulder roll, and it was a terrible shoulder roll, and Oscar Duarte kept tagging his ass, but then Ryan Garcia ended up getting a knockout. But that wasn't an overly impressive victory anyway. And then Oscar Duarte is still the same guy. I'm pretty sure he lost to Devin and Teo already before then. And so, like, I don't feel like those are strong names. Not strong enough for context versus, okay, no, this is what we'll do, Yoshimoto, because those are recognizable names. Like, I recognize those names. Everybody might not recognize those names, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I recognize those names just like I'm a boxing junk. Like, you know what I'm saying? I watch a lot of boxing, so I do recognize those names. I'll give you that. Now, let's compare Ryan Garcia's resume to, like, his peers. Devin Haney has Ryan Garcia on his resume, right? They fought, and I'm not resume including who you fought, win, lose, or otherwise. Who'd you fight? Devin Haney fought Ryan Garcia. He fought Vasily Lomachenko. He fought Regis Prograis, dominated Regis Prograis. Regis Prograis may not get enough respect. Regis Prograis is he was a legitimate, damn good fight. Regis Prograis had one loss in his career before he fought Devin Haney and before he got his ass beat by Devin Haney. You know who Regis Prograis' only loss was? It was a 50-50 fight that he lost to Josh Taylor. Josh Taylor was the undisputed 140-pound champion. That's the only loss that Regis Prograis had in his career. Was a tough 50-50 fight that could have went any way against Josh Taylor, who ended up becoming the undisputed 140 champion, right? That was Regis Prograis' only loss in his career. And then Regis Prograis was a champion and had been undefeated for like 3 years before he fought Devin Haney. Devin Haney went up in weight and beat his ass. Devin Haney, y'all say he got pillow fists and everything else. He stumbled and knocked Prograis down. And if he was a little more, if Devin Haney had killer instinct, he looked like he could have stopped Regis Prograis. Devin Haney has Ryan Garcia, Vasily Lomachenko, Regis Prograis went up a weight class and took his title. Regis Prograis going to Australia and beating what's the old boy that beat Teofimo Lopez, the Australian? I can't even think of his name. Now, the reason I think it still deserves credit, not because he's a fantastic fighter, but he beat the man who beat the man. Tank beat Lomo, and then help me out. Who am I blanking on? The Australian guy that beat Teofimo, and then Devin had to beat him twice in Australia. I can't think of his name. Anyway, he went to Australia and beat him twice. Clean sweeps. 24 rounds of fighting. Maybe Devin lost one round in 24 on the road. in Australia with all those odds stacked against you, that's still a very impressive victory for me. That's still a very impressive victory for me for what he accomplished. So that's Devin's resume. Ryan Garcia only has to offer Devin's on his own resume, right? And then a loss to Tank Davis, right? And then Luke Campbell and Oscar Duarte. That's not as good. Look at Teofimo's resume, right? Teofimo beat Lomo. And then he lost to Kambosos. Thank you, Derek. Kambosos. Appreciate you, bro. Kambosos. He beat Lomachenko. He lost to Kambosos. He beat the shit out of Rigondeaux. Teofimo smoked Rigondeaux. The same Rigondeaux that we gave so much credit when Vasily Lomachenko did it, because Vasily Lomachenko made Rigondeaux quit. He retired in the corner. No, Teofimo Lopez put his ass to sleep. He beat Rigondeaux. He beat Lomo. He did lose to Kambosos. And then he beat Josh Taylor. Teofimo Lopez arguably should have been the first two-time undisputed world champion in the four-belt era. Because when he beat Lomachenko was undisputed. The WBC took away Lomachenko's belt and gave it to Devin Haney for Lomachenko not fighting Haney and instead fighting Teofimo. Teofimo was also a champion. So it was a chance to unify for undisputed. So instead of just making a title defense against Haney, he fought what should have been a undisputed unification against Teofimo Lopez. Teofimo Lopez whooped Lomachenko's ass. Go back and watch that fight. It was the first 7 rounds of that fight dominant. He whooped Lomachenko's ass. Now, the last 5 rounds of that fight, Lomachenko wakes up and the complexion of the fight changed, though. Teofimo Lopez not quite as aggressive as he had been, and now Lomachenko's fighting with an extra gear as well because he's coming from behind. But he whooped shit out. He beat Lomachenko's ass. So he should have been undisputed. Then when Teo fought Josh Taylor conceded one of his belts because he didn't want to pay the sanctioning fee. So he conceded 1 or 2 of his own belts, and so he was no longer undisputed, but he hadn't lost since being the undisputed champion when he fought Teofimo. Teofimo beat Josh Taylor's ass. The same Josh Taylor I told y'all that had a 50-50 fight with Regis Prograis. That was Regis Prograis' only defeat. So Teofimo Lopez arguably, technically, is a 2-time undisputed champion in 2 weight classes, 35 and 40. Which means he did it before Bud Crawford did it, and Bud did it at 40 and 47. Teo did it first. So Teo's resume and Devin's resume shit on Ryan Garcia. Both of them. And then, of course, we already know Tank's resume. Tank has Ryan on his resume, right? He's got Leo Santa Cruz and Jose Pedraza and Mario Barrios. Now, Mario Barrios is probably... he's a solid fighter, but he's still not the tier, I think, of Leo Santa Cruz and Jose Pedraza, because both those guys were legitimate champions in their own right. Leo Santa Cruz is a hell of a fighter. If y'all don't know, man, hey, look, man, you get bored, go watch some old fights. Leo Santa Cruz is a hell of a fighter. Tank had the knockout of the year against his ass. So Tank's got a viable resume, but once he got, like, after that Mario Barrios fight, because he went up in weight, and 140 scared him. That's why when he fought Ryan Garcia, he drained him to 132 and a half because Mario Barrios put real leather on Tank Davis in that fight when they fought at 140. Y'all go watch that fight. He knocked him out. Tank knocked him out because that's what Tank does. He's got power that carries. That's another reason why it's so impressive that Lamont Roach was able to take those shots he did from Tank and give better than he got. Because we know Tank's power can be questioned. Tank knocked out Mario Barrios at 40. But Mario Barrios, look at Tank's face at that fight. Mario Barrios put more than enough leather on Tank's face and it scared Tank ass back down to 35 and 30. Look it up. And then he fought Ryan Garcia and drained him to like 132 and a half. You know what I'm saying? So, but all those guys, because that's his group, right? That's his class. Ryan Garcia has the weakest resume out of all those guys. Ryan Garcia's resume isn't any stronger than... It's barely any stronger than, I mean, I don't know, man. It's not an impressive resume. But we know him for his pop culture. He's got 2 million girls that follow him on Instagram. You know what I'm saying? And that's where he made his name. Now, he's talented. He's definitely talented. The hand speed and that left hook ain't no joke. He's talented, but he hadn't done anything to earn a fight with Tank Davis or to even earn a fight with Devin Haney. Not as a pro. They fought 6 times in the amateurs and they went 3-3 or whatever it was. 4 times went 2-2. But as a pro, he didn't do anything to earn a title shot against Devin Haney or earn a title shot against Tank Davis. Keyshawn is a more accomplished fighter than Ryan Garcia professionally and as an amateur. Keyshawn's an Olympian. Keyshawn is an Olympic silver medalist. Same for Shakur Stevenson. Same for Floyd Mayweather. Olympic silver medalist. That's what Keyshawn Davis is. So he's got a stronger pedigree than Ryan Garcia. I mean, if we technically speaking. Let me see. Keyshawn, my dog Keyshawn said you think Roach earned his spot in the Sun, Tank and Roach 2, or Roach Shakur, then Tank Shakur. Okay, yeah. No. Well, I don't necessarily want to see Roach or Shakur because, like, I don't think I need to see that, so to say. Like, I think, because also keep in mind, Roach isn't a 135 fighter. He's a 130-pound fighter. He went up to fight Tank. So that's not even like unless he's going to move and just campaign at 35, maybe. But I would rather see, I think either Tank and Roach can run it back. I'm not opposed to Tank and Roach running it back. Or if Tank doesn't fight Roach next, then I want to see Tank and Shakur. I still want to see that. But I don't know if Roach is going to campaign at 35. Shakur is definitely not going back down to 30. And so I don't know if Roach is going to just stay at 35. He only went to 35 to take this fight because Tank's plan backfired. He couldn't find anybody to fight. And then so he had to go get Roach and bring him up to even make this fight happen. So nobody was excited about it. So, I don't know what Roach has planned. Now, the fact that Roach looked as good as he did against Tank at 35, then theoretically, that should show us, and size-wise, he looked like he fit. He looked to be the big fight. If you told me one of those guys was the natural 135-pounder and the other one moved up, I'd have thought it was Tank. Because Lamont looked to be the naturally bigger guy, but he's not. He's the guy that moved up. So if he can look the way and perform the way he did against Tank, then yeah, theoretically, he can fight anybody at 35, theoretically, right? But I don't know if that's where he wants to actually stay. You know what I mean? So I don't know if him and Shakur necessarily make sense. Hey, Keandre, good point. When Fat Andy beat Joshua, it robbed us of Wilder and Joshua. If it was ever going to happen, you know what I mean? So we still don't know, because they had a chance to fight, and they kept bullshitting about the money and whatever else. And so who knows if they still would have made excuses, and it still might not have fought, but that's a good point. But now, even still, when Andy beat Joshua, I still want to see Joshua Wilder. I still want to see it, though. But no, that's a good point. Shout out to Fat Andy, man. Shout out to Fat Andy. Oh, man, I'm behind in the chat, man. My fault, Derek. He said I'm right on the punch volume. Said that Wilder, takes Fury, loses heart, levels with a born heavyweight disease. Now, I ain't going to say he lost his heart, man. We can't say that. Wilder lost them fights, but he had heart every time, bro. He took some shots. He took some punishment. He got up until he just couldn't get up no more. He kept throwing. You know what I'm saying? Like, and especially in that, was it the second one in which he knocked Fury down as well? They traded knockdowns. And trading knockdowns, especially in the heavyweight, it's a big deal. These are 200 Wilder's only 220. Tyson Fury is a 300-pound man, 6'8". You know how much, you know what I'm saying? If we understand just how force works, mass times velocity. So the bigger you are and the faster you move, the more force you can generate. Tyson Fury at 6'8", 300 pounds, and he's one of the man, look, taking those shots from a guy that weighs 80 pounds more than you and getting up and then knocking him down, you know what I'm saying? Like, bro, that takes a lot of heart. We can never question Wilder's heart, dog. See, Wilder fought Fury 3 times and AJ couldn't get a piece of that. And when he fought Usyk was moving up. I think AJ's a duck. No, yeah. So Usyk definitely moved up from cruiserweight. So Usyk was at cruiserweight, and he unified at cruiserweight, and then he moved up to heavyweight. But he wasn't the first to do that. Evander Holyfield did that. Evander Holyfield was the unified champ at cruiserweight in his day in the late 80s, and then the early 90s, he moved up to heavyweight as well and became a champion. So we've seen it done. Usyk's not the first to do it, but he did. I know there was a problem with the money. Like, I think Wilder honestly kind of outpriced himself because AJ was the guy at that time. He beat Klitschko, who had been Fury beat Klitschko as well, but then Fury retired for like 3 years. Joshua beat Klitschko in a great heavyweight fight. That's one of the better heavyweight fights of the 2000s. Go back and watch it if you haven't watched it. They trade knockdowns in that one as well. They knock each other down. Joshua gets up, shows chin and heart, and ends up stopping Klitschko. You know what I mean? So he's the guy. He's the money guy. And so Wilder, who was a talented champion, but he ain't had no bodies. Like, what's that dude's name? Stavern. Stavern had been like one of his biggest opponents, and he knocked him out early in the second fight. The first fight, Stavern went the distance. The first person that Wilder hadn't knocked out, so they ran it back. Then he knocked him out in like the second round. And then he had beat a couple other like B and C level guys, but he had trouble getting these guys to fight him as well, though. Him and Fury had been talking about a fight before Fury ended up falling into drugs and alcohol and retiring. They were kind of whispers about them maybe fighting back then, but Wilder didn't have any real juice. You know what I'm saying? Joshua had all the juice, but I think Wilder was wanting like 50-50 for that fight, and I think Joshua in Matchroom, they were offering him like $20 million. Wilder, if I'm not mistaken, turned down $20 million. He had never been made more than $2 million for a fight, I believe, at the time, if that. Mind you, he had never made more than $2 million, I want to say. He turned down 20 because I think AJ was going to get 80. It was going to be like an 80-20 split, 80 million to 20 million. And Wilder was like, hell no, he wanted 50-50 or something like that. And the money didn't make sense. But you know, these are good comments, man. It shows me y'all know what y'all talking about in here. Who's this? Troy Ingram Jr., man. What's up, big dog? I don't think I seen your name either. Man. But yeah, hey, you one of the members now, big dog. Hit that like and subscribe button for your dog. Let me see what you got. Said the Regis fight before Devin arguably lost against the black Puerto Rico fighter. I know you're talking about too. I can't think of that. I can't think of that guy's name. Damn. I can't think of that guy's name. Now, I'm going to tell you why I don't hold that against Devin or Prograis either, though. Devin still came up to that weight class, and Devin didn't have power at 30 or 35. It's the critique that we all give Devin Haney, pillow hands. That's what everybody says, right? Nobody's worried about you. Nobody's scared about you. You can't hurt nothing. You can't bust a grape. So this guy who didn't have power at 30 and 35 goes up to 40 and fights Prograis. Prograis is a legit guy. Fights Prograis and dominates. Beats his ass, knocks him down. He could have stopped him. He didn't have a killer instinct. He just was comfortable riding out the dominant win. I don't know if he lost a round that fight. There's been few one-sided fights. Like, I'll tell you how dominant Devin Haney was in that Prograis fight. I think it was just as dominant it was just as dominant as far as just one-sided. It was just as dominant as Floyd and Canelo. It was just as dominant as Bud and Earl Spence. It was just as dominant as last night when Gary Antuanne Russell beat the dog shit out of Rayo Valenzuela. 12-0, clean sweep. It was just as Devin Haney against Prograis was just as dominant as he'd been in 2 fights against Kambosos. It was a wash. And he legitimately hurt Prograis. Prograis got knocked down. Was that the first knockdown of Prograis' career? That might have been the first or second knockdown in Prograis' career. Devin Haney knocked him down, moving up to 140, while being notorious for having pillow hands. Like, that was a very impressive win, that Prograis fight. Prograis is legitimate, dog. Prograis was a legitimate fighter, for sure, dog. For sure. Pass Nation in the building, man. What's going on? I'm so behind on the chat. Pass Nation said T.O. didn't fight Rigondeaux. Who am I thinking of then? If it wasn't Rigondeaux, because I know Rigondeaux came up when he fought Lomachenko. If it's not Rigondeaux, there's a skinny black like African dude that Lomachenko fought, and that he Rigondeaux, I think he made quick, but Rigondeaux came up literally like 2 or even 3 weight classes. Now somebody has to look it up for me. There's another like either African or Caribbean black fighter that Lomachenko fought. It's the fight where Lomachenko is like putting hands on him and he starts waving to the referee or the corner to stop the fight. He's like, "Hey man, hey somebody stop the fight," and he punches him a couple times. And I think they may end up stopping the fight. Whoever that guy was, I don't know why. If not Rigondeaux, whoever that guy was, I'm gonna think of his name in a little bit unless somebody helps me out. Teofimo Lopez knocked that dude out in like the 5th round. Brutal knockout. So that guy, that's one of the more impressive victories from Lomachenko. Teo almost killed that man. You know what I mean? I think that's the fight that Teo. I don't know if that's the fight Teo won his belt from when then he fought Lomachenko next, but that was one of the fights he fought, either the fight right before or 2 fights before he fought Lomachenko. I can't think of that dude's name. But Lomachenko came back and fought that guy later, and it was a very impressive, dominant win for Lomachenko. Meanwhile, Teo put that boy to sleep violently. You know what I'm saying? But if it wasn't Rigondeaux, my bad. Because I do know Rigondeaux, when he fought Lomachenko, he had to come up like 2 weight classes at least. And he was old. Rigondeaux older than me. Rigondeaux was like 38, I want to say. Or he was on the plus side of 35 for sure. I want to say he was close. I think he was closer to 40 than he was 30. And he came up 2 or even 3 weight classes when he fought Lomachenko. And then he no missed. You know what I'm saying? Yoshimoto says he's not saying Devin Haney don't have better resumes than Ryan, but Ryan took that Tank fight with the catchweight. He did. Right, Real Judge in a fractured rib, but Tank had a spine. Yeah, no, all of that's true. All of that's true. And so that's why, like, I don't give Tank as much credit for the fight against Ryan because of all those factors. Ryan draining Ryan down with the catchweight. Ryan being injured. You know, now injuries are going to happen. So the injury is not Tank Davis' fault. You know what I'm saying? If you're not going to pull out the fight, then you're going to fight and it is what it is. So Ryan could have pulled out that fight and he didn't choose to. Now, kudos to him because he fought like a warrior. You know what I'm saying? He still went out there and did what he had to do. So I don't take that away from Ryan, but I don't give Tank as much credit, not because of the rib injury, not even because of the spine. Those things happen. But the catch weight and rehydration clause, that's whole activity, bro. That was whole shit. And then I hate how when Tank and Ryan Tank was talking about a rematch with Ryan, and then he was saying he would rematch him at 140. He's like, man, I ain't scared. I'll rematch him at 140. Well, then, no, that's bullshit, because you could have fought him at 140 the first time. If you wasn't scared. If you wasn't scared about him being 140, you'd have fought him at 140 the first time, but you didn't. You was scared. So I don't give Tank as much credit for the fight against Ryan Garcia. And then when I look deeper into it, kind of like we've been talking, well, Ryan Garcia really don't have much of a resume anyway. And it stems back from what y'all was telling me about Rolly Romero and Frank Martin, because they also had Tank fights. So I said a while, we've been on for like 2.5 hours. 2 hours ago, when we talked about this Lamont Roach fight, one of the things I said is this is his toughest opponent, and it's his toughest opponent since Leo Santa Cruz for sure. And it's the first opponent that Tank has fought in 3 or 4 years that wasn't either inexperienced or intimidated. Everybody that Tank has fought since Mario Barrios has been one or the other. Inexperienced, Rolly Romero, Pitbull Cruz before that fight, Frank Martin, or intimidated, Ryan Garcia. Frank Martin, scared. His scary ass on stage flinching and shit, like scared straight. You know what I mean? Even Rolly. You know what I'm saying? So like this is the first real fight he had since, you know what I'm saying, just getting by, knocking out made up contenders. And so this, in the first real fight he's had since a quality opponent dating back to Mario Barrios or Pedraza or Leo Santa Cruz, this is what we got. A tough 50-50 fight, and honestly, one that a lot of people feel like he came out on the short end of the stick on. Pocket in the building, man. What's up? I haven't seen your name before either. Drop a like and a subscribe for me, big dog. Said Roach was not afraid, and he had great defense. Exactly, dog. He wasn't afraid. He wasn't afraid. And like that, and that's been a key component of Tank's success. Just kind of like I was talking about. A key point of his success over these last 3-4 years, fighting these unqualified guys, Frank Martin, Rolly Romero, Ryan Garcia, Pitbull Cruz, they're either afraid or inexperienced, completely just don't have the stripes to be in the ring. You know what I mean? And it's evident. And so Roach wasn't that. Now he has a benefit that these guys didn't have. He grew up with them. They're a year apart. Or a year or two apart. I think Roach is 28, 29. Tank just turned 30. But they from that general DMV area. They were familiar with each other from the youth amateur circuits, right? So they had sparred before as amateurs. So there's some familiarity there. And so it does help with the aspect of maybe not being intimidated like most other fighters who don't have that familiarity with with Tank. So he wasn't afraid, exactly. And Just like you said, he had excellent defense, bro. He had excellent inside countering, bro. That was the difference in the fight for me. He won the inside countering exchanges, and he landed the harder shots in those exchanges. As evidenced by, look, we got another couple new people in here. I get to play my video again. So we're going to watch it one more time, man. This is a display of Lamont Roach absorbing the power of Tank Davis and then giving better than he got in those exchanges, like I was just mentioning before. So now that pocketed a couple other new names in here, I'm going to play it again. I'm going to play it again for you too, Troy Ingram Jr. I don't think you've seen it. Here we go.
Oh, there it is. And Davis just got backed up with a counter right from Roach. Boom.
Now I pointed this out. I've played that clip. We've been on for 2.5 hours, so I've had to play that clip maybe 6, 7, 8 times. But one of the things I always point out when I play that clip for y'all is just like Pocket said, Roach wasn't afraid, and a big part of that as well is he could stand up to the Tank power. He's the only fighter we've seen stand up to Tank's power. And you know what? He's a 130-pound fighter. This is his first fight ever as a professional at 135. He's almost 30 years old. He never fought above 130. So he came up from a smaller weight class, and he handled Tank's power better than anybody we've seen before. He handled it better than Mario Barrios, who was a 140-pounder, 147-pounder now, and a champion for wherever that's worth, right? He got knocked out. To start that clip, Tank lands a beautiful inside left uppercut. That's the same punch that almost decapitated Leo Santa Cruz. That highlight knockout in the corner. Santa Cruz throws 3 right hands in a row. And on the third one, Tank swivels and throws the inside uppercut and almost takes his head off his shoulders. That left uppercut, he landed it in that clip. The first flurry of punches from Tank, he lands that same shot on the inside against Lamont Roach, a smaller 130-pound fighter that moved up. Not only did he absorb that punch, he took another punch. He tried to parry a punch with his left hand, right? He actually missed the parry. Tank may have grazed his glove. That punch comes through as well. He missed the parry, and then he returns that straight right hand and almost put Tank on his pocket. You know what I'm saying? So he definitely wasn't afraid. Wasn't afraid and was able to deal with the power in a way that nobody else has. Nobody else has dealt with that power. Pitbull didn't get knocked out, but he didn't deal with that power because let us not forget, Tank broke his hand that fight. He fought with one hand. So it doesn't necessarily count on him like just eating or withstanding the power. Because everybody else went to sleep. Everybody else besides those 2 guys went to bed, taking those style of shots. Pedraza, Santa Cruz, Frank Martin, Rolly Romero, Ryan Garcia taking a knee. All those guys went to sleep off that same shot. Man, hey, Pocket, you right in Pocket, bro. You singing to the choir. This is some of the same things that I've been saying as well. He won those inside exchanges, dog. Exactly right. Fighting fire with fire. Accurate counterpunching on the inside between Tank shots. And then also, not just getting his off in the midst of Tank dishing it out, so fighting fire with fire. And then also, he closed those exchanges. He finished the exchanges as well. So sometimes Tank would often be the initiate and land a very solid shot. And then Roach would still be able to return fire, right? Return fire in the pocket. And then he also finished the exchange with an exclamation, much like we just saw with the highlight we just showed, right? So, no, hey, Pocket, you one of the ones, man. Hit the button for your dog, man. Hit that like and subscribe for your dog, man. Hey, now, some of y'all new faces, man. Troy Ingram, Pocket. How'd y'all score the fight? Like, who? If you didn't score it round for round, who do you think won? Like, I scored it. Like, when I watched it visually, I thought that Lamont Roach won the fight. I thought it was going to be 7-5 for Roach. But I scored it live, so then I actually tallied my card. I had it a draw. But there's a couple rounds there for me that are, I think they could qualify as swing rounds that I end up giving the Tank that maybe could be Roach rounds. And then if that's the case, I have Roach winning outright. But I definitely think worst case is a draw for Roach. I had it 114-114. But if you told me you had it 115-113 for Roach, I would agree. Because like, visually, when the fight ended, I thought Roach won that fight. And then I went and tallied my card, and I actually had it a draw. But how'd you actually score the fight, or who'd you think won the fight? Pocket, Troy Ingram, a couple of these other new names that popped in here. Pat's Nation. You know what I'm saying? Pat's Nation, what's up? How'd you actually have it? Who'd you actually have winning the fight? Hey, my dog Keandre said he had enough about this. I didn't bring it up, man. Hey, Keandre, I didn't do it. It wasn't me, dog. I didn't do it, man. I didn't do it. I didn't do it, bro. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. It wasn't me, dog. It wasn't me this time. Yoshimoto said he wasn't attacking Tank with the rehydration clause in the catchweight. He was praising Ryan. Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. No, and you know what? I think that's fair because to Keandre's point, if Ryan agrees to it, then it is what it is. So you're right. You know what I'm saying? Like, Ryan gets kudos for still taking that fight with those things working against him. So I dig that. I dig that. Yeah, especially like you said with the fractured ribs, especially having fractured ribs and knowing you're fighting a power puncher like Tank Davis. It's one thing to have a fractured rib and you about to fight Devin or you even about to fight Shakur. It's another thing to have fresh ribs and you finna fight Tank. And also fighting Tank in a dehydrated kind of catchweight stat. So no, he does get a lot of points for going through and going through with that fight and handling this business. I agree with that. For sure. Hold on, what am I missing? 1 second. There we go. Yeah, there we go. Something was off at the background. But yeah, hey man, look, hey, I'm trying to tell y'all, man. Hey, matter of fact, Troy Ingram Jr., you know what I'm saying? You one of the members. I hope you hit that button, the like and the subscribe. Yoshimoto, hit those buttons for me, the like and the subscribe. Pocket, hit those buttons for me, the like and subscribe. Pat's Nation, you was back in this thing. I hope you hit that like and subscribe before you got up out of here. Now, like I said, we 2 hours, 45 minutes in. At this point, I don't know. I thought I had some shit to do today. Maybe not. I don't know, man. Which I want to talk about. Like I said, we've talked about, we've revisited, we've done a lot of talking about this Tank fight for sure. Did anybody have any thoughts on the Bivol Beterbiev rematch? I think me and Yoshimoto talked about it a little bit, but then some people jumped back in, catching that Tank content a little late, so we went backwards a little bit. Did anybody have any thoughts about that Beterbiev and Bivol rematch? I thought the first one was a draw. I thought the second one was clear for Bivol, and I had Bivol winning that one. But entertaining fight. Honestly, when I watched Beterbiev and Bivol fight, I'm a huge David Benavidez fan. The Mexican monster. I'm a big Benavidez fan. I don't know if I like his chances against either Beterbiev or Bivol. I'm just not sure. I don't know if I like his chances against either of those two. And I'm a big Benavidez fan. I'm a big Benavidez fan for sure. But I'm not sure how I feel about those matchups. He says, strikes for fight to the fracture, but you can't come and make the weight that don't sign a contract. Well, no, here's the thing, though, Keandre. Like, then why? Well, then how come the same thing doesn't apply to Tank? If you scared to fight him at his natural size, then don't fight him. Don't fight him then. Don't fight him left-handed. So, like, I can't give Tank, like, if Tank would have, the fractured ribs is what it is. Like, yeah, like, if you either sit it out or fight, but if you're going to fight, then I don't have to feel bad for you getting hit in the ribs when you stepped in the ring with those broken ribs, with those fractured ribs. So I'm not holding that against Tank that he beat him with a body shot. Why wouldn't he? You got in the ring with broken ribs. That's on you. Now, Tank making him fight left-handed, now that's different. Because you could have fought him and still hurt him to the ribs at his natural size. But you did that as well. It's your option to do so. You the champ, you the big name guy, so it is your option. But it doesn't mean that we ain't got to critique that as well, though. It still is worthy of conversation. Said Ryan was calling out Tank for 3 years. Ryan's grew out of 35, so the catch weight. Well, yeah, and see, and that happens as well. And so, and it's not just with Ryan and Tank, because like a lot of these guys have called out Tank. Devin Haney was calling out. They had called out each other. Now, whether or not, you know what? Honestly, man, I want to think about that. I don't know if Ryan called out Tank for 3 years. I don't know. I don't know if he called him out for 3 years. I do know that he did start calling him out like in that year before or whatnot. But then also by then, like, I don't know, man, just the whole trajectory of how, like, was that, Golden Boy at the time, like how they were bringing along their fighters. Like, I'm not really a big fan of how Oscar brings along his fighters. I don't like how he slow plays them a little strong for me. Same thing with Ryan Garcia. Same thing he did with Virgil Ortiz. We should have had Virgil Ortiz in the boots in his fight 6 years ago, when they were both up and coming contenders. That was a fight that's been thrown around for those two fight and figure out which one of those two guys can legitimately propel themselves to challenge either Errol Spence or Bud Crawford. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't necessarily like how Oscar guards his fighters using those two guys as examples. But at the same time, I mean, he's looking out for the business. And so, it is what it is. Man, my dog time in this thing, man. My dog terrible time, man. Dog, hey, man, we almost 3 hours in, man. You know what I'm saying? We done talked about the fight, talked about another fight, moved off, came back, talked about the fight again, talked about some other stuff, moved off, came back. Come on, man. Hey, tell me, what'd you think about the fight for one? Now, who'd you have winning? Hold on, I see you in there, Yoshimoto. Let me put that on the board for you. Hey, Tom, let me know who you thought won that fight, though, bro. I don't know if you scored or if you just looking at it, who you thought won. But I'm gonna tell you my scores in a second. Yoshimoto said the reason Roach beat Tank's ass because Tank wants to fight on easy mode. Now, I think that's fair, and I had talked about that as well, man. Like, these last 3-4 years, Tank's fought make-believe opponents. Shout out to Leonard Ellerby for building up Frank Martin, for building up Rolly Romero. You know what I mean? Shout out to the marketing and promotion that went behind that Ryan Garcia fight. Because we was talking about Keyshawn Davis. Y'all told me that Keyshawn Davis hadn't earned the fight. Well, Ryan Garcia didn't fight nobody either before he got that fight. He got that fight because he got 2 million high school girls that follow on Instagram. I've said that numerous times. But he ain't do anything in the ring to earn that fight, right? And so this is true. After Mario Barrios, when Tank went up to 40, fought Mario Barrios, got touched up a little bit in that fight. He pulled it out. He won that fight with a knockout, but he got touched up in that fight. He took his ass back down 30-35, right? And then from there, he started fighting these big money make-believe opponents. A similar Tank went back down after Barrios, and you know what model he picked up? And he's the only other guy in boxing that was able to do it. He followed that Canelo Alvarez plan. Canelo stopped fighting real fighters 6 years ago. After slow playing Triple G, right? Because that Triple G fight probably happened 2 years after it should have happened, the first one. And I still thought Triple G won that first one. I thought Triple G won the first one. I thought Triple G won that first fight. If he didn't win, I think it was a draw. I can see it being a draw, but I think he won that first one. The second one, I'm not mad at a draw again, or Alvarez edging him in that second one. I can see that. But the first one, I thought Triple G won. No, I don't even think it was a draw. I think Triple G won that first one. Anyway, but after that, then Canelo stopped fighting real contenders. He didn't go fight Charlo. He didn't go fight Andrade. He didn't fight the guys that were right there ready and waiting for him, the real contenders. He didn't fight those guys. Then he started fighting John Ryder's. Well, not John Ryder that soon, but I'm talking about like that caliber of opponent. Even his whole title ran at 68. When Benavidez got stripped of his title at 68 for failing a drug test, Benavidez was the champion at 68. That's why it's bullshit that Canelo's never fought Benavidez. Benavidez was the WBC champion at 68. Won that title in the ring. He failed a drug test for cocaine. I'm sorry about that, Dave Benavidez. It ain't my place to tell your business, homeboy. And I normally don't do that. But it is what it is. He was tooting the booger sugar, and the WBC took his belt. Then, instead of having a legitimate fight, they could have put together an eliminator or whatever. They could have did a whole bunch of things to redistribute that 168-pound belt for the WBC. Instead, they let Canelo. That's when Canelo came to 168 from 60, and Canelo got to choose his opponent to win that WC title. That's the first belt he won at 68. David Benavidez stripped WC belt. He came to 160 or 168 from 160. He chose the opponent he fought. I can't even remember the dude's name. Shit, it might have been John Ryder. Who knows? A bum. But Canelo had reached a level of success and notoriety that he's able to sell fights with his name regardless of who's in the ring across from him. Tank reached that level after Pedraza, Santa Cruz, and then Barrios. Then Tank reached that level. Then we got to make believe fights for Rolly Romero. Who the fuck? Who's Rolly? Still to this day, who's Rolly? He just showed up one day. He just showed up one day with that fucked up haircut and that weird lisp, and now he's challenging Tank. What the hell is wrong? You know what I mean? Frank Martin. How in the hell he get that fight? A 28-year-old prospect who ran from a fight with Shakur. Say what it is. Ain't no reason in the world he shouldn't have took that Shakur fight. And then he gets to fail upwards and fight Tank. Scared straight. Come on, man. Come on. So, Tank got on that type of time. Pitbull Cruz. Who was Pitbull? Who's Pitbull since? And mind you, he fought that fight with one hand. You know what I mean? Oh, man, my dog Tom said he ain't even see the fight. He was at the rodeo. You got to watch it. Oh, Tom, have no fear. I got some footage. This is probably the 12th time I've played this footage, but every time somebody new gets in here, it gives me another excuse to fight it. Let me give you a taste of what that fight looked like last night for Tank Davis. I keep doing that. Wrong one. Here it is.
Oh, there it is. And Davis just got backed up with a counter right from Roach. Boom.
Now, Tom, man, did you see that? Tom, did you see it? Do you need me to show you again? Did you see it? Do you need me to show you again? Now, this fight, in that clip, one thing that you should notice, that I noticed for sure, you can't tell me, Lamont Roach is the guy that came up from the smaller weight class. Lamont Roach is the small guy who came up a weight class to challenge the champion in this fight. You can't tell. If I told you only one of those guys is the natural 135-pounder, you would have thought it was Lamont Roach. But no. Tank was the 35 champion. Lamont Roach had to gain 5 pounds to fight him. This is the first fight Lamont Roach ever fought at 135 either as a professional. As well, I should say. You know what I mean? Hey, go on, run it back. Hey, say no. Now, one thing I want to point out, though, is, and one of the things I talked about when we was talking about the fight, bro, is Lamont wasn't scared of Tank at all, stood toe-to-toe with him all night, and he won those exchanges in the pocket, just like we just saw. He got the better of those exchanges with Tank, bro. I think he out-countered him on the inside, and he finished, Tank oftentimes start those exchanges, but then in the midst of the exchange, I felt like Lamont got off better, or he ended in authority that still won the exchange, much like that one. I'm going to play it again. Now, before I play it again, one thing I pointed out to everybody that gets missed, to start that exchange, Tank lands that inside left uppercut. That's the same uppercut that decapitated Leo Santa Cruz. Tom, I was at your crib. Tom, you remember that Santa Cruz fight? You was uptown, in the first uptown condo you was in. We watched that fight. You remember we was sitting on your couch watching that fight? We thought Leo Santa Cruz died. We thought we just seen Santa Cruz get his neck broke. When he fell down and his leg was folded up weird, his leg was bent against his body. He was unconscious. They started waving in the doctor to try to bring in the smelling salts or the defibrillator. We thought he was dead. I was at your crib, Tom. That's the same uppercut that he threw that did that to Santa Cruz. Santa Cruz is a legitimate champion. That uppercut is look at the beginning of this clip. He lands that same uppercut on the inside flush. Roach takes that one. Then he brings his hand up. He tries to parry another shot. He misses his parry. Tom, remember, hell yeah. Watch this play again. Watch it play again. Tank hits him with that uppercut. Lamont eats it. He puts his left hand up. He tries to parry the follow-up left hand from Tank, and it kind of glances. He grazes the glove. He catches a little chin, and that one too. He eats that one also. Then he rocks bow, and comes back with that straight right hand and almost puts Tank on his pockets, boy. Tank was almost sat down on his pockets. I'm going to play it again for you.
And there it is. And Davis just got backed up with a counter right from Roach. Boom.
Yeah, dog. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. But I'm gonna tell you though, when you watch the fight, because I'm gonna rewatch it as well. So when I was watching the fight, like I score the fights live like always, you know what I'm saying? And so watching it visually, I thought Lamont Roach won that fight. But then when I actually tallied my score, I had it as a draw. And then the official scores, the official card had it as a majority draw. 115, 113 for Davis, and then 2 114 cards. It was a majority draw. But then my card was 114, 114 as well. There's a couple swing rounds that maybe could have went either way. And then also in the 9th round, Tank Davis takes a knee. The referee initially starts counting like it's a knockdown, but then Tank goes to the corner, has them wipe his face off, then he comes back out, and the ref lets it continue, doesn't charge him a knockdown. That's supposed to be counted as a knockdown. So Lamont, that's why a lot of people feel like Lamont Roach got robbed because of that 9th round and Tank taking a knee. Because Tom, you know as much as me, if you take a knee, doesn't matter the reason why, it gets scored as a knockdown. You don't have to be hit. Doesn't matter. If you take a knee, it's a knockdown. It's happened before. It happened to Floyd Mayweather. It's happened to numerous guys. That Ryan Garcia fight, he took a body shot, but he didn't go down instantly. He took a body shot. He stepped back. Tank took a step forward. Then he took a knee. It's scored as a knockdown. That fight is ruled a KO. You know what I'm saying? So if you take a knee, bro, it's a knockdown for sure. And the ref starts counting. And I had that footage as well. It didn't upload. I don't know the size, and I didn't size it right, so I can't show it. But nah, man, the first half of that fight was pretty bland. I'm not gonna lie. It's pretty bland. The second half of that fight definitely picked up, and it ended up turning out to be an interesting fight. It ended up turning out to be an entertaining fight for sure. It definitely did. It definitely did. All right, we 3 hours in, man. This I don't know. This may be a record, or maybe it's close. Normally about 2 hours is the sweet spot. Sometimes we might get 2.5, 2 and 40. I don't know how many times we did hit 3 hours, chat. I don't know how many times we hit 3 hours, man. Yeah, you had to watch that back though, time for sure. You had to run it back, dog. I'm gonna watch it back again. A lot of people in the chat had it like I had it a draw, or I thought it was gonna be 7-5 for Roach. A lot of people I saw had it wider for Roach. I saw more than a couple scores. I'm looking for them now. My dog Keandre had it 7-5 for Tank. And I think somebody else had a 7-5 for Tank as well. Because there's an argument. I don't know if I can feel like Tank won 7 rounds, honestly. But if you told me he did, there were some close rounds here. So if you told me it was 7-5 Tank, I can't knock it. And one of the judges also had it 7-5 as well. So my dog Keandre had a 7-5 for Tank. Here we go. Yoshimoto, he had a 7-5 for Roach. See who else. I think it was a couple guys. Jose Pereira, there you go. I'm looking for your scorecard, though. He had a 9-3 Roach. I thought that sounded a little wide. But then also Zay Money got in here. He said it was 8-4 for Roach live, and he rewatched it and ended up going 9-3 for Roach. So I can't wait to rewatch it. I'm going to rewatch it myself as well. I normally do anyway on like big fights a lot of the times. So I'm going to rewatch it anyway, and I'm going to rescore it and see if I still feel it was a draw, or if maybe I do find it one way for Roach or Tank. You know what I'm saying? Who knows? But watching it, when the 12th round ended, I thought Lamont Roach won the fight. I wasn't sure if he was going to get the victory, but I thought he won the fight. And then I added up my own scorecard, and I was like, well, damn, I actually got it 114. But I can see, even in my own score, where there's a few swing rounds, kind of close rounds, that could have went one way or the other, and I could have had it. I very well could have had it 8-4 for Roach. That still feels too wide for me. 7-5 Roach is how I felt like it should have. It was just the eyeball test. But yeah, man, when I scored it, I had it a draw. When I scored it, I had it a draw. But all right, I think that's probably about it, man. I think that's probably about it. I think that's it. That's all. All right. If you got something else you want to get off your chest, you better speak now or forever hold your peace. All right. Speak now or forever hold your peace. Oh, Tom, before you get out of here, I can't stand talking about it with you. But I'm going to tell you, I think Keyshawn Davis beats Tank, dog. I think that's a 50-50 fight. I thought Keyshawn was a live dog. I thought Keyshawn was going to be a live dog if they ever fought anyway, but I thought, it's 70-30 Tank, 65-35 Tank, 60-40 Tank on a good day. But probably, 70-30 Tank. I thought he was going to be a live dog. Now, last night, I think that helps my case for Keyshawn, man. I think that's a 50-50 fight, man. I think that's a 50-50 fight, big dog. I ain't gonna hold you. My dog Tom said, where you gonna watch it? Shit, I'm watching on YouTube. Like, normally, like, YouTube, and I hope I'm not talking out of turn, YouTube. Tom got me dry snitching on YouTube. See this? Tom got me dry snitching on YouTube. Normally, in the first couple of days after a fight, people repost the fight, and then it takes a few days before YouTube catches up and copyrights them and takes them down. So normally, especially on like a big fight, if it's a big fight, like normally you'll get like a couple days before it may get flagged to take it down. If it's just a regular fight or not a big name fight, those fights oftentimes might just stay up. But yeah, you should be able to find it on YouTube, bro, before it gets taken down. A lot of times, yeah, people have you might have to find a good copy, but a lot of times you'll just find it on YouTube. So that's what I plan on doing. I'm just gonna watch it on YouTube. But yeah, man, you gonna have to watch it. Let me know what you think, bro. You gonna have to watch it. Let me know what you think. Don't forget, in round 9, Tank takes that knee. You'll see. It wasn't even from a shot though. Like Roach had threw, I think, like a right hand, but it didn't even connect flush. I thought he got poked in the eye because you can see like he kind of backs up. So I thought maybe just the punch grazed him enough to where it kind of like poked his eye. Because he kind of steps back, he takes a knee, then he runs to his corner, and he's yelling at the corner. And then you can see Buddy with the glasses, his OG. I can't think of Buddy's name right now. You see his OG get up and kind of hurry up and try to wipe his face with the towel. And then Tank comes back. The ref stops him and talks to him like, hey, man, what you doing? And Tank's like, nah, man, I had something in my eye. And then the ref like lets it go. No, that's a knockdown. You take a knee, it's a knockdown. And then even deeper than that, technically, if your corner offers you any assistance mid-round, that's a disqualification. So the corner, it could have been a disqualification because the corner, anytime there's a stop in the action or a break in the fight, you don't get to go to your own corner for coaching. You got to go to a neutral corner because the corner's only able to offer you assistance in the break between rounds. That's why you have to go to a neutral corner for any stoppage during the live fight. So they could have been disqualified right there. It could have been a victory for Roach as a disqualification for going and getting corner assistance mid-round. And he took a knee and wasn't penalized the knockdown. So there's a lot of avenues in which Lamont Roach probably won this fight, and it didn't happen. But yeah, man, you gotta check it out. And when you check it out, man, call me and let me know what you think, man. Because last night, I was watching the fight. That boy Reggie called me last night. We had to talk about it. That boy Reggie called me last night. We had to talk about it, dog. But yeah, it was a good fight, especially that second half of the fight, man. But hey, man, look, y'all, that's it. That's all, man. We 3 hours and change in. Hey, this is the first show back, man. The first show back since the NFL season. You know what I'm saying? After the Super Bowl, I took a 2-week vacation, finished out the rest of Black History Month, finished out the rest of February, just recharging. You know what I mean? The NFL season takes a lot out of you, boy, man. There's a lot that goes into it. Had to recharge, went on spring break a little bit, and now we back, man. Boxing then brought us back, man. So exciting weekend of fighting. I know we spent the bulk of our time talking about Lamont Roach and Tank Davis. There were also damn good fights this weekend and last week. Antuanne Russell, he won a championship, dominated Rayo, Valenzuela, washed them, 12-0 wash, one-sided ass whooping. He's a 140-pound champion now. Shout out to Antuanne Russell. Keyshawn Davis last week knocked out, defeated in the 4th round, Denys Berinchyk. He's an official 35-pound champion now. I love me some Keyshawn Davis, dog. It's my favorite young fighter, man. I've been saying that in the show, so y'all be able to listen to your dog, man. Keyshawn Davis had an impressive fight. Shakur Stevenson, it was an affiliate, right? The guy had 4 days notice or a week's notice, and so it was less about the opponent, but just more about how Shakur looked. Shakur looked damn good. Aggressive, let his hands go through real leather, and he actually got a stoppage to the body in his one as well. Beterbiev and Bivol rematch. Bivol wins that. I thought he won. I thought the first one could have been a draw. I thought this one, Bivol won, and I'm happy that he did get the decision. I thought he was the better fighter, especially in this second fight. And so we've had some good boxing, man. And so there's some big fights coming up. We've got a little hiatus from big name fights until May. So y'all know we'll be back in May to chop that up. Canelo's going to fight that first weekend of May. Teofimo Lopez, Devin Haney, and Ryan Garcia are all going to fight on the same card that same weekend in May for sure. So you can mark that on your early calendar. You know what I'm saying? Your boy will be back talking more boxing. But until then, man, y'all stay smooth. I appreciate y'all coming through, man. Y'all know what time it is. Time for that real member roll call, man. Shout out to my dog Tom closing the show out for me, man. I appreciate you. Shout out to my dog Keandre, man, captain of the ship, hold me down, man. Shout out to my dog Yoshimoto. Had some very good comments in the chat today, man. Appreciate you. I hope you hit that like button and subscribe before you get out of here, man. Troy Ingram Jr. You one of them members too, big dog. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button for you, dog. Tap back in. Pocket was in the building as well. Good intelligent comments, man. I really like talking boxing. I feel like boxing brings out the real boxing fans show up when we talk boxing, man. And so we get a lot of good conversation, and y'all didn't disappoint. Pocket, I hope you also hit that like and subscribe button for your dog. Pats Nation showed up in this thing to talk a little bit of boxing as well. I appreciate you. My dog, Derek William, man, CMU, man. You know what's going on. Hey, Tom, man, hey, one of our old teammates, he was in the building as well. I hope you hit that like and subscribe. Bring your ass to the YouTube, man. You follow me on YouTube. I appreciate it. I still want to talk to you. But tap in on that YouTube for me as well, big dog. Give me a like and subscribe over there. Let me see who else is in this thing, man. We had a lot of new names in here. I'm looking for the rest of y'all. My dog Day One Gang Jarrell popped in to say what's up to me, man. I appreciate you, homeboy. My dog Champy tapping in from Phoenix, Arizona. He got in this thing for a little bit and wiggled around a little bit. Sis was in the building as always. Appreciate you. Another new name, man. Jose Pereira was in this thing. I appreciate you, homeboy. I appreciate y'all. I'm looking for some of y'all. Zay Money was in the building as well. Also had to fight for Lamont Roach. Who was in this thing? My dog Miles is in the building as well. I appreciate you, homeboy. I'm looking for you. I know my mom's was in the building as always, wishing me have a blessed show. I'm looking for you. Damn. Y'all know what time it is. We say the same thing every show. Feel free to say it with me at home. If I forgot to say your name, damn, hey, my bad. But charge it to my head and don't charge it to my heart. You know we thinking about you, big dog. Appreciate all the love, support as always. Like I said, man, I love getting here and talking ball, talking boxing, whatever it is, man. I love when we get in here, have fun. You know what I'm saying? Play like you know what I'm saying? Intelligent but strong debates. You know what I'm saying? Everybody in here knowledgeable. Everybody in here know what they talking about, man. So it makes it fun and enjoyable for myself. Hope y'all had a good time as well. Be looking out for me, man. There's going to be some draft content coming up as well. I'm going to get into a little bit of that. I know there's some big fights in May. Can't wait until then to really get in here and wiggle around, man, and we'll have a good time. But until then, y'all stay safe, y'all stay smooth. I'll see y'all next time. Peace.